I know most of the bad things or the alleged bad things about you. I know very little about your actual past in the game, and I know even less about who you are or who you were before this game. So if you'd like to do some introductions, any kind of IRL information you'd like to divulge, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, let's see. I was born a baby. I guess we should fast forward a little. Yeah, I started gaming when I was about 12 years old, got into Neopets, and that didn't last too long. Went over to a first-person shooter called MechWarrior 4 Mercenaries, and I led a clan there for about 6 years. And it was the same 8 guys over these 6 years, and we were horrible for years after year after year. It was pretty bad, but I insisted on this just training every single day. And at the very, very end of our 6 years, we had the highest win percentage in the Net BattleTech, which was the online league there. And it was like we finally reached our heyday at the very, very end. And some of those friends are still my best friends to this day, including Corrosion Riaz, his brother Pyro. Both of them actually became my roommates and coworkers about 10 years after that. I got to meet one of them in England, another one I met in Scotland. So as a teenager, I had 6 good years of gaming, good experiences, and really finding out that if you treat people like people on the other side of the monitor, it can completely change and enrich your life. So moving on from MechWarrior, I played Star Wars Galaxies, which probably had the biggest impact on me game-wise. I did. Yeah.
I didn't know that about you. Oh my god. We're gonna have to take a couple of minutes to really dig in on about what server did you play on?
I'd love Starsider.
Oh shit. Okay. I was on Skyla.
Skyla, okay. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So I played it over the course of 8 years. So I ended up getting Elder Jedi 2 years before they stopped giving out the Elder Jedi titles.
Wow.
So I was one of the original ones. In fact, a funny short story. I was so obsessed with gaining power in this game, I was relentless about it, that what I actually did was I came back from school and I would immediately start grinding this Jedi grind. And whenever my mom arrived at 5 p.m. at home, I would make sure I was off the computer. I was always seen doing my homework. I would ask for some dinner. Yeah, so she'd be like, oh, what a good student. He's doing his homework. She'd give me dinner, and by 7 p.m., I was out. I went to sleep, and then I set my alarm and woke up at midnight after my parents went to sleep, snuck over to the office, and then actually kept grinding for this Elder Jedi status until about 5 in the morning. When I went back over to my bed, fell back to sleep, and then my mom would wake me up like kind of naturally so that she knows that I wouldn't fake it. And that's how I kind of spent the 11th grade.
Wow. So you're about my age then, right? I'm 30.
I'm 30.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
There you go.
So yeah, we were playing this game at the same time. I remember I took off school the day it came off, the day it came out, because I was so hyped about being able. I wanted to be a musician because I was playing a lot of instruments in high school and stuff. Cool. And so I really liked the idea of cantinas and being able to heal people and all that stuff. And I got involved in before player cities were a thing. This guy had like 5 accounts, and he like made a city on Tatooine, and it was the first city just like 2 or 3 weeks after the game came out. And so like you'd pay him a bunch of money, and then he'd rip up one of his plots, and you'd put one down there. So that's where I really actually got a love for economics, because the economy in that game was just there's nothing like it. That game was so far ahead of its time that nothing will. I don't know if there will be a game like that again. I think the dynamic of big money in video games has shifted the way that they're made, that it won't be able to happen. Like I had a supply chain, like people that just found the best resources so I could cook the best, what were they, Tatooine sunrises, or get the best doctor buffs out. So that's amazing, man. So I assume you enjoyed the economics in that game too, right? Was that kind of
I absolutely loved it. Yeah, I had a major journey throughout all of these years. My biggest, I would say, success was actually I started a Riz armor business. And do you remember that armor at all?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. So it was crazy rare in the beginning of the game because you had to have the master armor smith that completed all the quests in order to do it. So what I used to do is go up to players and I would say, hey, how much money are you able to get in an hour? And they would say something like, oh, I can get 300,000 silver or whatever, or I mean credits back then, or whatever the rate was. And I said, okay, great. Well, how would you like to start making $1 million an hour? And they would say, well, I'd love to make that. That would really help me out. What do you offer? I was like, okay, great. I'm going to give you a series of waypoints, and you're going to go over here, and you're going to look for the Gurk King, and you're going to do this for as many hours as you have in the day. You're going to come back with any of the proceeds, and I'm going to pay you for your time. And I did that with a handful of employees in this game for the Woolamanders and for the Gurk King hives. And I made a contract deal with an armor smith where I paid him twice as much as he would typically make for an armor piece. And I had this booming Riz armor business. My friend said I supplied half the roleplay community on Starsider. And it turned me into a multi-billionaire. At the end of my time, I had the equivalent net worth of 50 billion credits.
Wow. I quit right after. It wasn't the combat update, even though I was very upset with that. It was the NGE update. I quit just really before that. And I think I had 12 or 15 billion credits. It turned out to be that, like, having that spot early in the game, like anytime people just needed food buffs, they would just come to my shop. My shop was there forever, you know, a real city place there and all that kind of stuff. So let's move on, SWG. We can talk more about that.
We really could keep going.
Yeah. I went back to an emulator earlier or later, and it's like the UI was so bad. It's like you could just never go back to that game. So, you know, the nostalgia was there. Yeah. So
I guess moving
past
SWG. Yep. I quit gaming completely for 3 years. So when I was 20 years old, I was in college and I dropped out of college. So I had a year and a semester in Penn State. And I ended up finding a unique opportunity where I could work with businessmen and salesmen. Believe it or not, I found this through my Star Wars Galaxy's Apprentice. Yeah, no joke. I eventually wanted to pass on everything I learned. I was like, I want to find one person and teach him what I know. We were friends for 3 years in this game. And when I was, in my teens, I tried to find a job and I had all these business ideas. He said, well, you know, there's a company that I do software design for, and if you don't mind hard work, the money is good. And I said at that point, I don't care how hard the work is, I'm gonna do it. So I came out, I interviewed for the sales position, and I got it. And I worked with them for 8 years, just recently stopped before Black Desert in the end of 2015. But for 3 years, I didn't touch any games at all. But then eventually, once everything was all settled with company stuff and me traveling, I got back into SWTOR, where I was there for 2 years. That's when Exceptional Legion started. And then Elder Scrolls for 2 years, again, right before BDO.
So did you start Exceptional Legion yourself?
I did, yeah. It was the very, very beginning of 2012. I didn't want to do it, but people heard of all of my Mech Warrior stories about how we did this for 6 years, and they really wanted me to start a community. My apprentice, Betra, he actually still runs my website. We're still friends to this day, over a decade later. He's actually in the podcast right now. Yeah, that guy, he literally my friendship with him has completely changed. It just created my life. Well, he always wanted me to start a guild, and I never did in Star Wars Galaxies because I wanted to preserve the experience of my clan in Mech Warrior. But I finally caved a game later in SWTOR and did start it then.
So you went to ESO, and talk about what went wrong at ESO that brought you to BDO, or what was so right or looked so good about BDO that, you know, you took your guild from ESO to BDO. Let's talk about what drove you towards Black Desert Online.
Okay, so I took my guild from SWTOR to Elder Scrolls, but by the time BDO came around, there was no Exceptional Legion left, basically. It had already been disbanded for well over a year.
Okay.
So yeah, I brought it into ESO for the PvP, and I wanted to prove that I could be an Emperor, which I got, and then I stopped gaming again for about 6 months. BDO, my transition from ESO to BDO is such a crazy story. We won't have time to go over it, but the bottom line is this. People in my stream used song requests whenever I had request songs on to make customized videos to threaten me. And I was like, what is going on? Because we're just listening to music, and then we hear, Blade, are you ready to die? And I'm like, what is happening? And it was by this YouTube channel called Anonymous. And there was one player in Elder Scrolls that was named Anonymous One, and we had add-ons in that game, and I could see that he had killed me more than any other player in the game. So I'm like, what is he doing? Yeah, it was the craziest thing. So I'm like freaked out. Now, every couple months, there was another video, and it got progressively more involved. He had pictures of me as an Emperor and crossed it off and said, you know, the X through the sign Emperor. It's like, how about a little PvP, perhaps?
Okay, so it
Well,
wasn't like
eventually,
real life, like it was in-game threats kind of
this was
thing.
in-game stuff, right?
Okay,
And through
okay.
my stream, which is why it was so crazy. And it lasted over the course of 2 years. I eventually went to play Elder Scrolls on PS4, and then we got a video after that saying, "Did you run away from me because I killed you too much?" So I quit Elder Scrolls PS4. I came back to the PC and I grinded, and I literally have a Rocky style montage. It's a hilarious video. I'm doing push-ups and getting levels and all this stuff where I maxed out the level of every class to face him, but he could not be found. And then my entire stream did research and found that Anonymous, who was the guild leader of Havoc, moved to Black Desert.
Oh my god.
That's right. So I came here to pursue Havoc and his guild leader, their guild leader, Anonymous one.
Wow, what a story. So there was nothing about the actual game that really drew you to it. It was just this weird guy making YouTube videos
Right?
threatening you. And that's amazing. That's the best story I've heard so far.
It was so nuts. And I had a girlfriend at the time, and BDO seemed like a good way to start both of our Twitch channels and get going and things like that. So we did come over, and I won't spoil the ending of that story. It literally takes me hours to explain. They eventually found out where I lived, mailed things to my house, had me on this quest. Oh, yeah. Had me on this quest where I had to go back to SWTOR and fight old bosses to rescue all this stuff. And they themselves made about 2 hours of cinematic videos with animations and everything. And it was so elaborate and crazy.
That's incredible. That's cool.
It was. I was so honored by it at the end. Like, it was just an amazing experience that I never, ever thought I'd have.
You know, it's starting off like a little monk of TOS, right? Like these guys are trying to they're trying to get after you, and then I'm like, oh, he's threatening you in game, so this is fun, right? Because that's something I talk about, and we'll talk about it later when we talk about the politics of the game. But you know, you have to have enemies. You can't just be friends with everybody. You have to have enemies too, or else you don't have any content. But so that's okay. So now we're in BDO. You've done all these crazy things. You've gone back to SWTOR. We'll get into your streaming a little bit later. So talk to me. I really have a lot of questions about Exceptional Legion because it's personal to me, because I tried to reach out to you towards the end of the official, not to skip to the ending. But so let's what made you want to restart Exceptional Legion, and what were your goals for it when you first started it?
That's a really good question. And just so you know, I have as much time as you want tonight, so I'm free. It doesn't have to be contained within an hour. Just whatever you want to ask.
Cool, man. I'm not taking it. You know, I'm good at too.
Yeah, that'll be great. Okay, so you have to understand, I started guild leading when I was 12 years old. The first computer game that I played that was not Neopets was MechWarrior. Within 3 weeks, well, within a day, I was in a clan. Within 3 weeks later, I thought I could do a better job, and I took over. And a little 12-year-old Blade was pretty tenacious, and I basically just took names and wanted to bring us into a league. So from 12 years old on to about 18 or so, I was guild leading or clan leading, and then I did it in companies, and I had sales teams, and then I did it in SWTOR, and I did it in Elder Scrolls. Well, I disbanded Exceptional Legion after I became the Emperor, and I did not want anything else to do with guild leading. And I just wanted to be a streamer. I just wanted to talk to people and hang out and get to know them and share what I've been able to do and not have the pressure, because it was my whole life. Well, the people that played Elder Scrolls Exceptional Legion and some people that played in Exceptional Legion SWTOR were on me. They were dogging me to start this guild, and I refused every single day for 4 days in early access. But finally, they wore me down. I said, "Okay, we're gonna restart the community."
Okay, so you restart the community. So you're trying to have a community feel to it, but were you gonna? So you're obviously famous for money making, life skilling, all that kind of stuff. But you did end up dipping your toe into PvP in a pretty big way. What did you think Exceptional Legion was going to turn into? What was the aim of it once you got it going?
Well, the most important thing for me with running Exceptional Legion was that we treat other people well, and that we don't just degrade ourselves and other people into invoking a fury of anger and hatred, as we always see. You're absolutely right. We need enemies, and we need content, and we need battles. But I wanted to basically collect around me people that would just be nice to each other, because I got my job for 8 years from a contact online, and some of my best friends in my life came from MechWarrior. So I had very tangible real life experience that if we treat other people like the people they are in these games, then we are going to be so much better off for it, and we are going to make their lives better. And that's kind of where my don't take grind spots, stop PKing these fishers, this whole morality sense came into it. All I wanted and still want is for us to have good people that we enjoy being around and taking it as far as we can go. And if that means T1s and never be on T1s, I was happy with that. The problem then came where recruiting would basically just kind of change those standards, where we've had a variety of different exoduses from Exceptional Legion to the ultimate my own exodus and the end of last year. But groups would just want to PvP, and they wanted me to be more involved in it, and I didn't have too much of an interest. So it was always just supposed to be a casual community. People that got involved wanted to take it as far as they could, and when they couldn't go further, they would leave or find some new direction.
So when you started getting into PvP, like you would node war, right? So you could get money and probably do payouts and all that kind of stuff, because there was no C content back then.
Right.
So I can see doing node wars. I can see, a casual guild doing, T1s, T2s. Was there somebody in specific that really drove you to, start stepping up and further and be more accepting and PKing people and pushing into the siege scene? Was there one person in particular?
No, there wasn't one person, but there were repeated sets of people. We had a good core group of officers in the early part of 2016, and we had a good group of 30 PvPers. And they just wanted me to be more involved in PvP, which I didn't want to be, and they all left Exceptional Legion. 5-6 months later, I keep recruiting because people just want to be part of the guild. They see me streaming, they watch my guys, they join. I'm not very interested in PvP. The next group of officers get promoted to do contracts, and they want to take them into Node Wars. Another group of actually 40 players left in September of 2016. And then it took us about 5 or 6 months before I even allowed any PvP again. We started up in February, and then February to New Year's was our last whole Siege Node War thing, and that was a different set of officers entirely.
Okay, so it was a constant struggle. You'd build up this
Right.
guild, and they all went, "Where's the PvP?" And you went, no thanks.
And it's entirely my fault. It really is. Doing a good job as being a guild leader is a full-time job, and it's something that I was so tired of that I couldn't emotionally commit to it. I wanted to just let people come in if they wanted to be here, and then if they wanted to do their own node wars and stuff like that, I let them do it. But it got to the point that I exited so much that the direction completely changed, where I wrote myself out of the picture. So I don't blame any person for ever leaving the guild. I always feel that I'm setting them up for disappointment by even letting them join me, because I'm trying to be a streamer and I do the best job I can as a guild leader, which really is not very good while I'm trying to do everything else.
So that was the rub, right? Is you were more interested in growing your stream and your community than you were participating. So you wouldn't even go to these node wars. Would you go to the sieges?
Well, the sieges I would go to, yeah, and node wars I went to for the most of last year, but yeah, node wars I took off like last April, for example. I took off all node wars and didn't even stream actually, and pursued just Gaha's elites because I couldn't do it on stream.
Yeah.
So I tried to. That's when I came back and I had my 7.6 billion to try to bid on Tet Ogres. So I really just told the guilds, like, go have fun. I really just don't want to do this, but do your thing. So some I went to. The majority last year I did go to, but not in last April.
So when you were fighting on Medaya, right? Is that clear in your memory? You remember that?
Yeah. When Snake was dethroned.
Right. And so I come into the picture, right, and we put Snake back on the castle. And then I think either the weeks before that, and I think the weeks during and after, like those 3 weeks, I was really trying to reach out to you because I didn't think you were being taken seriously by the other alliance. And I was honestly trying to give you a chance to like really get a feel for Siege, because and there's another guild or two now that's kind of in that same position where they're getting jerked around and they don't really have the real Siege experience. I'm being a little selfish here because I feel like you got to scrap on Balanos and Serendia to get these real fights and to really learn how to correctly fight in, Calpheon and Medea. So I'm looking at you going, I don't think this guy knows what he's doing. Like he got wrapped up in this. I have no idea how he got wrapped up in this. And I literally have 2 weeks where I know I'm going to control Balanos and I want to get it to him. Also, it's going to help me, secure Medea. And I didn't get an answer back on that. So my thought was, A, I know you don't use Discord very much, but B, now, but B, I'm curious if like you just weren't involved in that, and maybe I was messaging the wrong person, or where were you
Right.
with all that?
Yeah, I'm very sorry that you didn't hear back from me, man. I
Oh,
do
I'm
feel
not
bad
looking
about
for an
that.
apology or anything. I'm just trying to wonder
I
what
want
was
to give
going
it.
on.
I'm grateful that you even wanted to include me in that stuff. I did not know about any of that. I don't. Did you whisper me in game, or how were you trying to contact me?
It was Discord. BDO, half of
Okay.
BDO is played on Discord.
Yeah, you can ask anybody, all the hundreds and hundreds that have ever been in
I
Exceptional
know.
Legion. I just
Yeah, I
don't
know.
look. So, but here's the thing: I didn't know where we were sieging because I didn't care. I didn't care at all. In fact, I personally didn't think we should be in sieges as much. I wanted to stay in tier 2 until our strength build. But our officer corps, which I entrusted, did want to be in sieges, and they developed their alliances. And to me, it didn't make the slightest difference. So I showed up, and that was it. You know how we got Calpheon and we got the region and things like that,
Mm-mm.
the final part of last year. Yeah, so that was arranged by these very qualified, good PvPing officers with their alliance of Cho Nation and Hexus, so that we could get the payouts of the accessory boxes. Well, I found out that we were supposed to take the region during our fight. That's how little involvement I had, because I had no interest in it at all. But I wanted them to have the experience that they wanted. And if they wanted a node war and they loved these forts and they loved their alliances, I just let them do it. It just, I wanted to not stifle any of that. I wasn't trying to hold on to the reins. I didn't care about my ego. I was just playing the game, and I let them do all the stuff that they wanted to. But that was the very last siege. That was the last battle that I was actually ever in Exceptional Legion. I left after that.
Okay, so right, that brings us to Exceptional Legion split off into Velocity, right?
Right. We can't actually consider it an Exceptional Legion split because I left, and the reason I left was to try to keep everything else together. I led that guild for 22 months. We all worked on the elephants and the guild missions, and I really didn't want to PvP at all. I like working on my gear and my long-term progression of whatever the heck I like to do. And so I tried to leave to give them leadership because they want people that could do the command to gathers and be in the GBGs throughout the day. And all that stuff seemed pointless to me. I didn't really like it. So I left trying to stop as many people as I possibly could from joining. And all the members that either wanted to come with me, I just, we talked them down. Some came anyway because they wanted to be with me. And I love that about them. And I appreciate their friendship. We brought over kind of the non-PvPers and we became more casual. We've done one node war in the last seven months. So it wasn't an Exceptional Legion split. I really tried to take myself out of it because I wasn't doing the right job as a leader, and I wanted to give them the reins.
But okay, so the core of Velocity was the PvP minded people from Exceptional,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So okay, that answers all of my questions. I had no idea. I really had no idea that was the case. It's so funny because like I think one of your best clips is when some of my guys were killing you at Pirates, and then you warrior ult them. You're like, "Where's my billions now, huh?" or something like that. I was looking at your channel, and so I really had no idea that you had a disinterest for organized PvP. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, I just had so much of it in Elder Scrolls, and I love the Siege PvP over there that I did not want to lead anymore. To become an Emperor in Elder Scrolls, I don't know if you know. Do you know much about that or?
No, I played it for 5 minutes and I went, this can't be online. I hate this.
So just briefly, Elder Scrolls has a huge map and there are 3 alliances. And what happens is one alliance has to beat the other 2 alliances over 6 different castles simultaneously. Once that happens, the highest rated PvPer of that alliance becomes the Emperor. So that took me 6 weeks to be the highest rated PvPer. And I was on comms with hundreds of players across many guilds, TeamSpeak, not Discord at the time, but Mumble and Ventrilo, trying to coordinate. I was awake and fighting with all of these hundreds of people for 37 hours to become the Emperor. One battle took that until we finally did it. So then, after all of that, I disbanded Exceptional Legion. I became a solo 1vx player and a streamer. And I was so tired of coordinating PvP, I wanted really no part of it.
Interesting. Okay. That makes a lot of sense then. So let's talk about Exceptional Legion today then. So you recently just came back to the game, right? And we'll dig into that later. But you recently just came back to the game. I saw your stream. of going through all those patch notes. God bless you. So are you actively leading it? And what's the first? Are you actively leading the guild in all aspects? Okay.
Yeah, I'm actively leading it as much as it is being led right now, which is very little. It's mostly a community of people that like to just talk to each other each day. We have one officer only, and she will renew contracts as it's needed. We don't even really do guild missions. We'll talk every day. We're in my stream every day, but there are no other leadership frames built at all right now.
Okay, so is there a goal for recruitment? Is it just specifically a social guild then?
The only goal in recruitment is not to get the wrong people. I don't want to set them up for disappointment and bring in people that are so ambitious that they want to move forward and then have their own resentment when they see that's not something I'm that interested in. So my personal goal, well, I mean, I don't know if this is the goal section of BDO. We can go over that later. But I think we're going to get back into Node Wars because the people do like that. And I really want to provide a nice experience for everybody there. And that's the reason I'm still leading the guild. I think it's better than not having a community, and the lives that I've been able to connect with, touch, and affect throughout all these games has just made such a difference in my life that I'd like to keep leading it to the extent that I can.
So do you think that maybe, this is an interesting story, I had no idea about this. Do you think that maybe your, I don't know what the word for it, altruism, positivity, wanting to, you know, really just build a community, do you think if you take that out of context, outside of the last, 20 something minutes we've been talking, you think if you take that out of context, it comes off sarcastic or insincere, and maybe that's a source of the toxicity that you receive somewhat regularly?
I think for sure it's become a cliche, as almost every guild wants to build a good community. I don't know of anyone that's like, yeah, if you ever rape someone, please join our guild. We want to be as mean to everybody else as we can. Like, no guild goes out there, looking for anything other than a solid community. So I don't know if that is a source of things or not, but what's important to me is not setting people up for disappointment and having them just expect things that I can't really provide. There's been too many splits and too many, when I leave my own guild to try to give those people,
guys, it's okay.
more control over PvP. I want to make sure that I don't accidentally reset that whole thing. If that makes sense.
You just sent chat off in a fury. Shit. Let's shift into streaming for a while. So, because obviously a big part of BladeBoques is streaming. When did you really? So you mentioned earlier that BDO was really kind of the start of streaming. Did you dabble in ESO, or was BDO really the launch pad for that?
I actually started streaming in 2013. So BDO was the third big game that I streamed. I started in SWTOR. The way it happened was one of my recruited friends actually was streaming, asked me if he could stream our raids. I was very cautious about this. I didn't want any of our secrets to get out. And we were trying to kill this nightmare raid boss, and we couldn't do it. And we wiped 55 times. And between every wipe, I came up with a new motivational story, just ridiculous stuff to keep everybody laughing, because that's your role as a guild leader, raid leader, all of that. And people were there listening, and I found out there were 20 people watching. I was like, who are these people? Why are there 20 people watching? Why aren't they playing the game? I didn't get it. It made no sense to me. And I was a pretty diligent raid leader where it was just monotone, matter of the fact, tank swap, 4 stacks, res corrosion, ads coming in, and just like that. But then they wanted me to stream. So when they see me stream, I'm just talking to myself. I'm like, oh my God, I'm standing in red. My healer better not see that. Crap, did I just have to quit my weapon? And it was like shenanigans and chaos, and my guild just cracked up watching me stream because they didn't realize I was so chaotic when I was really professional over comm. And they loved it, and other people started watching. So back in 2013, I started streaming. I didn't have a good enough computer. I only had a laptop in order to stream PvP Elder Scrolls. So I couldn't stream my Emperor Conquest, but I really kicked off streaming throughout all 2015 in ESO, had routinely 500 viewers. That was really a major thing for me. And then I took a break, went to England, this whole other thing, came back for BDO, and basically had to restart from 30 viewers up.
So you had a base when you started at BDO.
Yeah, I had 6,000 followers when I started here.
Who was the big streamer? You had 6,000 followers when you started in BDO?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. Okay, so that's what got you into streaming, right? Was the community aspect
Right.
of it, and people really kind of connecting with you, and you be able to connect with them. How hard was it in the start? Was it something you focused on? Was it when I say the start, I don't mean like the first day you clicked on a stream, but when did you start taking it seriously? Was it BDO, and how hard was it despite having 7,000 followers?
I think I started taking it seriously in Elder Scrolls because
Okay.
at that point I owned what was a company, a small company, but I owned it. And I was training people to take over as sales manager and do the traveling while I dealt with infrastructure, customer service, shipping, and things like that. And that allowed me a lot of free time. So there's one stint when I was able to basically stream every day for 3 weeks. And that's when my viewers were always between 300 and 500. And I just thought, man, I would love to do this for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, at the end of 2015, my businesses were done with. And then coming back, I had almost no baseline but to start trying to make a living streaming. And that's when, I had already wanted to do it in Elder Scrolls and was successful. But in BDO, it really became the only thing I did.
Thank you, Fake. Appreciate it.
Fake uniform hype.
Yeah, I just thanked him. What a cool dude. I love him.
Oh, me too.
I didn't know him before he joined Aftershock. It's been really fun getting to know him. So a little shout out for Fake.
Oh, he's great.
He really is. So okay, so it started taking off when you had these. That's interesting because I'm kind of in the same boat, right? Where I've got this business that I helped build, kind of a family business. And then now I'm kind of in a spot where, I have a lot of extra time. And I really resonated with a comment you made earlier about, I'm really more interested in streaming than I am GMing and trying to find that balance because I am
Good luck, man.
I'm a dad too and all that stuff. So it's,
wow.
yeah, I'm balancing business, streaming, being a dad, being a husband.
I don't know how you do it.
That's tough.
I couldn't do that, man. That's amazing. I couldn't even do just the guild leading streaming. So
well, I have a good officer core, and they've been here for a long time. So I'm not trying to be an absent GM or anything like that, and I'm certainly not. But if you don't use Discord, it's tough. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
so let's talk more about streaming. Just you're the first streamer I've really been able to sit down and talk to publicly about streaming. So can I make a comment about your YouTube videos?
Of course, yeah.
Dude,
everything's on the table.
They're so cringe. Like so many of them are. Is that on purpose? Can I just say that?
You don't like the time ripple effect where I lean through and say, "Not much time. BDO is about grinding."
And then the billionaire think tank thing altogether.
I love that.
And then you forget the E, or somebody forgot the E, and then you've got like some scribbled in E there. I'm like, what the hell am I watching?
Oh yeah, I totally forgot the E. That was not intentional at all. And I was like, I only had a week-long Photoshop trial. I can't make that again. All right, we're figuring out something.
What's great about that is you put it right in your video, right? Your first think tank video. You put it right in there. Like, oh shit, I forgot the E, and it's still there. This little scribbled E is.
Yeah,
that's toxic. That's toxic. Okay, that's what that is.
It's not toxic. It's
cringy,
it's
okay. Self-toxic.
But I'll tell you, man, that's just my sense of humor. Like, I know it's dumb, but it makes me laugh, and that's good enough for me. I'm like, I'm just gonna put my own personality out there on the internet. Literally, I have one of my guides where a painting falls on my head. I'm like, I'm not gonna edit this. That's probably fine. All right, let's keep going. So I know it's stupid, but if I can make somebody smile in the course of learning about BDO, they're gonna have a better time. They're gonna receive the information better, and it's just fun for me to do it that way.
I really wanted to ask you that question, and I didn't want to come off toxic with it because I'm watching this and I'm going, this is tough to watch. Is this like his first video? And I go, oh my god, it's really just his style, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not very good at editing, but I like keeping that crappy stuff in there. It's funny to me.
So, point blank, if your full-time job, would you rather be a YouTuber or a streamer?
I'd rather be a streamer for sure.
Is that because you're bad at editing, don't like to edit, takes too much time to get the content out there, and you can just like flip a webcam on and create content? Is that the big divider for
That's
that?
definitely a big part of it. I just love the live interaction. It's very fun for me. I like making my own goals and missions and games and then sharing it with people as I either do well or have epic failures. And it's always something that we can enjoy.
Yeah, you can't edit out the fails when you're on YouTube, or
Right.
you can't edit out the
Oh,
fails
right,
when you're
right.
on Twitch, right? So as a myself, I'm a new streamer, right? I've been doing this for 4 months or something like that.
Mhm.
Do you think creating YouTube content is necessary to build up that community and the Twitch following, or do you think you can really just make it as a Twitch streamer on your own?
So I don't hold myself at all as a successful streamer. My income, subscribers, viewers, all that stuff. If you can find a more qualified opinion, I would take his over mine. But in my opinion, from what I've seen, I would say that YouTube is of the utmost priority for anybody that wants to build a live stream. I think it's very important to find a niche to show people something. It could be anything from a series of podcasts to PvP content to patch notes, whatever it is. You find a niche and that helps people and that will drive them to your live stream. It'll get your brand out there. I think the two have to be together for any kind of success.
So you're continuing to create YouTube content and to
Barely. I'm so slow at it. I made the knowledge guide video earlier this year, and I think my last guide before that was Dark Knight in April of last year. So I don't really do it as much, and my channel suffers for it. But if you're trying to build it, you can look at Shaky Bay, how he has his YouTube videos going all the time. It's sending people to his Twitch and vice versa. Fake is thriving on YouTube, and he believes that YouTube has more video viewers than Twitch, just in general. So I think the two should be combined for people that are really seriously trying to sink their teeth into content creation. I don't think I do it very well.
Let's talk about the BladeBoques brand right now. You as a streamer, as an online personality, what are your goals right now? You're just you flicked on the stream a little bit the past couple of months, but now you're really coming back to it, and you're coming back to BDO too. What are your goals? Are you going to stick with it? Are you trying to grow to a certain point? Or open-ended question.
Well, I'd be open and up for playing other games, but they just really don't interest me that much. And I don't really want to be a variety streamer. So I'm going to stick with BDO until I reach my biggest goal in this game, which is reaching the highest level of potential that I can as a warrior.
Okay. So this is kind of bringing us into another section here. So we'll call it the allegations section here. So when you left BDO, you left streaming. Did it have a lot to do with the toxicity of, the one node, two workers thing? Was that something that really came into a factor of leaving both the game and streaming?
No, not really. I've started up streaming and stopped streaming just as it suits me, as life changes and things like that. So that hasn't played a big impact on it. I did stream every single day leading up to that happening. So that was about 6 weeks. And after that, definitely lost some momentum, lost some steam and interest in it. I think I took off the majority of last September and October. I don't think I was that active in December. I was pretty active through January and February and even March, but coming to May and June, at least like in the last 2 months, I stopped basically because it felt like it's not that I took a break from BDO, it's that I used BDO to take a break from life. And it drastically affected everything in my life. So I was processing. I didn't play other games other than Battletech, I guess, when I came out. But I was processing and still playing every once in a while. I read a lot of books and I traveled. One of my friends got married, so I spent some time with him on one side of the country. I got back into working out. I've been to the gym 3 times a week for the last 50 days. And then I went to E3.
Do you put it on Twitter when you go to the gym?
No.
Oh, then it hasn't happened. You haven't actually worked out. You have to put it on social media, or it doesn't count. You have made no gains, man.
The selfies, the flexes.
Yeah, dude,
look at me.
on.
You see these games, right? And the other big problem, actually, for the last 2 months, I would have been streaming a lot more had my AC worked, but it was like 100 degrees, and even with my AC running, it drowned out my mic. And up until I've been streaming for 5 years, up until just the last month, I had my audio go through my speakers and through my mic because I hated headsets, and I had to kind of rework my entire system. I went from literally a fold-out Walmart table to a sit-stand desk. I had a horrible setup. I upgraded everything, redid all of this stuff, got a split AC unit so the condenser is outside, and all of this stuff in the last 2 months. So it was traveling, reading, working out, upgrading my system so I could come back and focus for the summer.
I flexed on stream, so I'm getting a bunch of chat. It kind of struck me too when I started this that I went a little overboard with my setup, but I tried to have I have a bunch of computer parts, so I put a streaming PC together, and I'm like, I hate the capture card thing, so I just sold it and I bought a bunch of extra parts. But to me, it's actually pretty interesting how much professionalism you need in a stream to really capture an audience at this point. I think that's kind of new in the past maybe year and a half, you know, where you could just be an idiot with no overlay and you could see your dirty clothes in the back and it was fine. And now it's like, you know, a green screen is kind of maybe falling out of meta a little bit, but you have to have those borders and all that kind of stuff. So let me ask the question I've been dying to ask. 2 workers, 1 node. Did it happen?
I mean, we know there were 2 workers on the node. That did happen, but I did not know it happened until we all saw it at the same time on live stream. That was the first time that I knew that was happening.
So it was by complete accident. Do you have any idea of how that could have happened? Have you talked to anybody or researched it since that happened?
I had absolutely no clue at the time, but yes, at this point, I think I have a pretty good understanding. So another streamer ended up telling me how it occurred. And so we know that while the color of the workers don't have anything to do with it, if ever a worker works until it is out of stamina, and there's no worker working on a node, and you just have a node system where, you know, everybody is out of stamina, and you put a worker on a node that has no workers on it, and over time that also runs out of stamina, and you need to feed your workers. If you feed all of your workers and then you hit repeat all, those 2 workers will go back to that node without any kind of confirmation for the player. And we had no idea. 40 different accounts were affected. Some players probably figured it out and used it maliciously, but me and many others had absolutely no freaking clue that occurred.
Okay, so the famous stream where you're sitting there, you must have had, I don't even remember how many viewers you had, but I watched. I don't think I'd really watched your stream before then. And I saw this you know, you've been permanently banned.
Right.
So let's go to that stream for a minute. Let's talk about the emotions you had through that happening. You know, you've got a great community built, you've got a ton of viewers, and now you're publicly streaming that you've been banned. Was that intentional? I came in late, so I don't personally know. Were you intending on, you know, kind of showing this happening as it's happening?
Absolutely not. No intention at all.
Do you regret keeping the stream going?
No, I think it was fine. So I was live an hour before the servers went up so that we could start the striker grind, and there was a striker grind contest. So I was really, really excited. And then they pushed back the servers because it's cacao. And then there's an hour, and then there's 2 hours, and now we have 800 people there. We're all waiting for the servers to show up. So I'm excited. I log in, and then it says you've been permanently banned for using a worker exploit. And I knew it was a mistake, or thought I knew it was a mistake, because I had never done anything like that and was pretty relaxed. But I brought it on stream saying, guys, this is happening right now. Like, what is this? So I was pretty relaxed. I wasn't bothered other than the fact that I was waiting for it to be fixed. And of course it was, I guess, fixed at that point. An hour later is when they ended up unbanning everybody that they banned.
Okay, so they unbanned everybody.
2,200 people just sitting there watching this exploited message on the screen.
Did you call somebody? Do I remember that right?
No, I didn't call anybody. I sent out a message to their Twitter saying, hey, what happened? There's some kind of mistake. And I just sat there waiting basically for the mistake to get fixed. It wasn't until Blaze, actually, B-L-A-I, actually, I don't know how to spell his name. He was another streamer. And he said that he had contact with Cacao and that he was going to reach out to him. So he did that. And then at that point, Cacao didn't get back to me, but then unbanned all of us after an hour. Now, other people came to me too and said, hey, I've been banned. I got the same message. I didn't do anything. I don't know what the heck's going on. So we had no idea how many people got banned, and we were just kind of waiting because I just figured, they would fix their mistake.
So you had no relationship with Cacao before then. Did you forge one after that happened at all? Were you in? I don't know how they work. I don't have a relationship with them, but I know a couple of people who do, right, in the community. So again,
I did have a
before?
relationship with Cacao at that point. So that all happened, I think it was July 12th, 2017. In the end of 2016, I created the Tri-Server tournament, and the Gladius title that's in the game now was started because of those tournament series. So they had already, worked with me in that respect, and I knew them. So the relationship definitely wasn't any better after that, but there was a relationship before that, and I tried to tell them this thing happened. And I'm sure that all played into it getting fixed in an hour.
Okay. Let's see. The backlash.
If you want, I can tell you more about that if you.
Yeah, let's dig into that. Sure.
Okay, so they unbanned me and everybody else after 1 hour, and then they apologized. They said it was a false positive in their system, not to worry. They're reviewing every single account that was flagged. And I was satisfied. I was like, okay, that's great. That's fantastic. Now, obviously, there was still a problem at that point. There was a problem when I got banned, and there was still a problem 2 months later when it first showed up on stream. So Cacao actually came out with a statement saying that even though these accounts got flagged for a worker exploit, they did not stop any of the workers that were currently going on. So this worker went on the Ancient Stone Chamber for another 2 months without me knowing, and Cacao seeing a problem and not fixing it. So at that point, it was shown on stream. That's when I saw it. And I let Cacao know that this was a problem, but they had already said they were investigating every account. I don't think they did. 2 months went by, right? It wasn't until it appeared on my stream. And then it hits Reddit, hits the forums and things like that. And their reaction at this point was to reban the group. So they rebanned everybody that they had already banned for an hour, and everybody got 72 hours if intent could not be determined. There were 3 accounts that had either investment banking or an elaborate complex system of multiple nodes and things like that. And they permanently banned those 3 people. And they said everybody else will be banned for 72 hours because intent could not be determined. Anybody who did it accidentally or without intent had the 72 hours. A week later, they then come out with a statement that it was impossible for anyone to have done this without knowledge and intent, which is bogus because it was impossible to even run into it unless you just stumbled into it, right? And they actually banned somebody for 72 hours that apparently exploited for 238K. So they didn't know. They didn't know if people knew about it or not, and they gave a blanket ban a second time for all of us. So we all got banned twice for this.
Okay. So I'm reading chat here a little bit. Some people say it was your only blue worker.
No, I had, in fact, I'm embarrassed to even say this, but yesterday I just fired a level 30 human worker that had 3 promotions. So as far as I know, there aren't any more of those, but I actually still have like 8 blue workers. I just don't use them very much. And I even had green workers at the time. I had a very flexible node system, which I still have a very flexible node system. I pulled 100 CP out of nodes yesterday and put it into farms, as you were seeing earlier. And what I would do is basically when I didn't want to farm actively, I would go out and I would grind, and I would have a very passive node empire. So I'd get more lodging and I'd get the best workers I could get. And a lot of times they're pretty freaking bad. And sometimes I had to settle for greens, and I'd get them and I'd put them on a node because at least that was more passive income while I was out grinding. And then when I stopped grinding and wanted to do workshops again, I would then fire those workers, or I would just have them stop working and I would reinvest that CP into workshops. So I don't have a very stationary, all artisan, all set routine. It's always been a very flexible workshop and node empire that's been changing. And blue workers, even green workers at the time, were a part of it.
So, as somebody that I'm not a BladeBoques, but I'm pretty into passive income because I'm not a big fan of getting out there and grinding on my warrior all the time. As we all know, that's not the most fun thing to do. So when I audit my CP Empire every 4 to 6 weeks. I haven't done it on stream yet, but I probably will. If I had 2 workers on one node, I'd have no fucking idea. I would be completely clueless. I'd have no idea that that would happen. And so I think that's interesting that intent became such a big part of it, because there's got to be those shitlords that came in and went, oh man, I saw this, 3,000, 2,000 people saw you get banned and maybe get in on after it. I don't know when the fix was put out, all that kind of stuff, but intent's really an interesting, and Moreland's in here and he's talking about how that was frustrating.
Well, thank you for saying that. I think that's really nice of you to admit that truthfully, that yeah, you wouldn't know if your workers were like that. In fact, if you could do me a favor, open up your worker window on stream just right now.
Oh no, I got so many workers on one node, man. I can't do that.
So if you notice from the map, which is how everybody will manage their workers, there is no indication that there was, any problem like that. But if you actually read the lines, you see all those bars that are kind of shifty in the words there and what they're doing there. If you look to the right, you see Fento Farm and all that stuff. It was almost like the games where you have to flip over the cards and remember each one. The only way to know that those 2 workers were on Ancient Stone Chamber is to read the text in the worker window and then remember that somewhere else in your entire list of workers was the same text of the Ancient Stone Chamber.
Blade, I have 2 workers on Coastal Cliff.
No, that has 2 nodes. I got distracted by that too when I looked. I was like, it's all like this, but no, I looked at that. So that was the only way to even find out this happened. So I had over 200,000 Twitch views in the course of the 3 months.
No, I think I actually have 2 workers on one node. What?
I think they fixed it by now. Didn't they?
I only have one node on Coastal Cliff.
Look at it again. Oh no.
Holy shit, I have 2 workers on one node!
Oh. Really?
I really do. I really have 2 artisan workers.
One's the cave, one's the cliff.
Oh no! Oh shit, dude! I was so scared. Oh, you're right. I was like, Coastal Cliff. Oh my god.
I was like, they said they fixed it, but they've said that before.
Oh my god.
Oh wow. Well, there's our entertainment for the
Whoa,
podcast.
no kidding.
So you can see how no one ever reads the description of the workers. Nobody ever looks at that. We look at the map. Well, that was the only indication at all that there was a problem on the Ancient Stone Chamber.
My Twitch chat's going crazy. I'm not even gonna look at it. I'm not even looking at it.
I know, right? So oh dude, I was worried too for a second. So my Twitch channel got viewed 200,000 times over the course of the 3-month period that worker was working. Over this 3 months, I opened my workers nonstop, feeding them. I also had a window on my screen that showed all of my node gathering. So it's absolutely crazy for anybody to think that I was trying to hide this or knew about it while I'm showing it for over 200,000 people and nobody saw it until one night after an 8-hour stream, not eating. I was super sleep deprived. I just had my worker list open and I was reading chat for over a minute with hundreds of people. And that was the first time people looked at my screen long enough, hard enough for any of us to find out.
Okay, so that dovetails. Now that I realize I'm not exploiting. Oh, man, I fucking panicked.
Don't panic.
Oh, whoa, okay. Haven Cliff. Never forget that one. So let's talk about the backlash of 2 workers, 1 node.
Yeah, that was significant.
Yeah, how did it affect you personally? Let's start there. Let's dig right into it. So let me set you up for this a little bit. When I have a bad stream, it affects me for 12, 18 hours at least. And sometimes I'll move a stream day around or something like that. And I've only been doing this for, 4 or 5 months now. And so you've got this, you can say what you want about your success, but you start streaming, people trickle in. By the time you end, you've got 2, 3, 4, 500 people. That's your stream right now. It was different then, whatever the case is. How does it affect you when you turn off that stream and all you're getting is garbage in your text or whatever the backlash is? So talk about the backlash and, let's quickly go into how that affected you as a person.
Definitely a deep question. It was an incredibly hard time, and it still is, because this issue in most people's minds is still not resolved. So there's still scarcely a day that goes by that I'm not accused of being an exploiter or a cheater or a hacker, even to the point of the forums. And now, I don't know if you've seen it, that faux MMO news site even did a story on how BDO partners with controversial exploiters.
Wow.
So this is pretty recent. So it's not even that I was able to go through it and it's done. I'm still drastically affected. It was hard. It was absolutely hard. I mean, one of the biggest things I had to just come to terms with, and one of the biggest pieces that I pulled out of this, is that, you know, I'm not in control of life, of scenarios. You know, we don't know what a day may bring. We absolutely, you know, do not know. And so I realized how little control I had over my life and my success, and just to be more grateful. But for the insane backlash, people got my information. They put my address and phone number all over. I started getting cell phone calls from the number of my parents. And when I answered, it was not my parents. And my parents would get cell phone calls from my cell phone, and they'd answer, and it was not me. And the same thing happened to Betra, my web developer. His information was put out there, and food was sent to where all of us lived. So they're after my relatives as well. I had to go to the police and say, you know, there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to be swatted, and people will tell you that, you know, something horrible is happening, and you'll attempt to break down my door. So just be aware of this. I'm a streamer and this is going on. Somebody I never even knew about, I didn't know who this person was streaming, and he was so upset with me, because it's bad enough if you think I'm an exploiter, but I continuously at every opportunity tell them that no, I was not an exploiter and I did not do this, and it was just a mistake. Well, then they immediately consider me a liar. And so in their mind, they have this cheater, they have this liar, they have this conniving person that's a con man. They build up this evil image, Senior SmokeWest, that doesn't exist, and they hate him. And so this streamer that I've never even had in contact with, hated me so much that he started talking about date and time specific ways to kill me, and where he was going to find me at TwitchCon and end my life. And it was so significant that they banned his Twitch channel.
Good.
And I never even saw his Twitch channel. I didn't know about this, but then he's all through server messages saying that I've ruined his Twitch channel, and he hates me even more. So it was a crazy backlash. But here's the thing that's got me through this. Oh man. The thing that got me through this is these people that absolutely hate me don't know me. They don't know that I didn't do this. They hate cheaters, they hate exploiters and things like that. So I keep making myself see them as good people that don't like cheating exactly the same way I don't like cheating. They've been deceived, they've been misinformed, or they've made a wrong judgment. And that has been the only way that I've not been filled with complete hatred for the people that harass me.
Wow. So how did you kept streaming through this? Like, you kept playing the game?
Yeah.
You kept streaming. How did you?
I know, it was
I had no idea it was that bad. I had no idea it was that bad. That's incredible.
My guild was amazing. You know, all of the people that have become Velocity, they were all with me, and they were ready to take up the sword and fight. And we had 20 guilds or 25 guilds declare war on us to try to kick us out of the game. And they knew, because they know me. They knew that I didn't do this. It's, you know, completely crazy to even think about that I would jeopardize everything over the course of 3 months period
For such a shitty node.
For 50 million silver. I think that worker would have made its 50 million silver on its own damn node. Like, it doesn't make any common sense for anybody to consider it. So the people that knew me knew better, and they had my back. And let me tell you, like, they were always like, Blade, you need to talk. Like, hey, I'm so sorry this happened. They were so supportive, and it was amazing. And my stream was too. So I had a good collection of friends near me, but you could see it in my streams. Like, I was absolutely just exhausted, emotionally beaten down and tired of all of it. Even as recently as like 3 months ago, I still was having very little enjoyment from any streams. But what I basically wanted to do was just hang on there until I could gain a proper perspective and get my energy back. And in the last 2 months away from BDO, that's exactly what I did.
So, okay. Let's talk about how you dealt with it. Um you put out, and now that we've kind of, you put out this video about how, well, probably it's kind of a copy pasta at this point, right? Where I didn't cheat, and you're pointing your finger at the camera, and if you accuse me of cheating, you will be permanently banned from my Twitch and stuff like that.
Did that even get around?
Oh my god, it got around.
Did it really?
Oh yeah, that's got to be one of your
That
best
was
clips.
recent, right? That was like this year.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
Yeah, I just got so tired of answering the same question because I really tried hard to always have a dialogue and talk about whatever their questions are, because I get so impersonated and people have doctored Twitter messages and made so many claims saying that I admitted it that people don't even know what to believe anymore. So eventually, though, when it's all you talk about every single day for a year, you get so tired you can't properly answer. You just run out of strength. So I actually made a 30-second clip that I would just flip on and just have that address it. I only used it twice, and I didn't even realize that got around, but they do love their gossip, so I guess that makes sense. So I don't know if this is, well, yeah, I'll just tell you this too. I really got obsessed with false accusations for people in life, not just in game. So I started reading stories about how people have been falsely accused of murder and then spent their life in jail and then got out 30 years later, and then it was all just one big mistake. And I just read story after story after story. I started watching these documentaries, and I realized, like, listen, Blade, just, you're not that, like, this is not that big of a deal. This is a game. You still have a wonderful life. You can choose to play or not. Yeah, maybe you lost 3/4 of your viewers and subscribers even over the course of a year, but you're not in jail. Things like this happen. I need to, not at all have the mindset of woe is me. Life is tough. This is a trial. And I'll tell you what, I think I had too big of an ego last year, and still, obviously, if I don't think I have a big ego now, that means I do.
I don't want to interrupt you, but somebody just, I don't mean to interrupt you, but somebody just said, no. BladeBoques comparing himself to people that spent 30 years in jail. Let me defend what he's doing here, right? So he's being accused and being a level of bullied that I can't even comprehend, that literally scares the shit out of me from putting myself on the internet. And he's having to deal with this. He has to put his head down on a pillow every night. And so he's reading about people who have experiences being falsely accused, and his real life is being affected with this. He's not relating himself to somebody that had that. He's trying to find a similar experience or people that could have emotions from that. He's not relating himself to that. So let's cool it a little bit. This podcast is about the truth. It's about his side of the story and letting him talk. So don't take every little thing he does to try and deal with his real life and skew it into some big thing. You're not that important. You're not that famous. Let's keep that to a minimum. Continue, please. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Tim. That's really nice of you. And, I definitely, I think, had a problem with ego and pride last year, where I was scheduling my streams to be done after Summit. And every single stream for 6 weeks, I had 1,000 viewers. And as we know from life, pride comes before the fall. And really, one of the things that I've taken from all this is that, you don't always have control of your life and of what happens in it. So to just be more humble and be more grateful. And it's really helped me a lot, just building my character going through that.
Do you feel like responding to it so much was a mistake? Because in my experience, in my limited experience of being on the internet, I've been a meme and video for well over a year, working on 2 years here, and I do stuff that is stupid or crazy or whatever the situation might be. But if something bothers you, I feel like, me personally, if we're having a conversation here together, I feel like maybe you just reacted to it too much. You ever consider that if you could do this over, the backlash part of it, that maybe you'd play it differently?
I don't even know how I could have done anything different than what I did with the strength that I had. I really don't see myself doing much different. I stayed out of the forums a lot just because I felt like the story was told and it was done. And what I told you earlier about how I think it ended up happening with the stamina issue, we traced it back over 3 months, and that was the exact period that I made a YouTube guide for my Dark Knight. And when I make a YouTube guide, I'm not playing it all for 2 days or whatever to make sure I don't do really anything, because it sucks me back in. So during that time of the Darknet guide, my workers were absolutely out of stamina, and it could have easily happened where I just tab in real quick, look at the map, and then click on some nodes that are okay and put whatever workers still had stamina to run on their own. And then, of course, 2 days later, when they're all out of stamina, just normal worker refresh and repeat all caused the problem. So even though I think I know what originated it now, and I talked to Morland about that probably being it last TwitchCon, we both agreed that, just digging it all up again and making more statements probably wouldn't be a good idea. Let's just let it lie. So yeah, I addressed it heavily, and when it comes up, I try to answer it because I don't think these people are all malicious. I think they're just trying to get to the truth, so I talk to them. But I've completely ignored the forums until very recently with that news agency thing, and I saw that my old thread was "What is integrity worth?" It's been seen like 80,000 times, as 2,400 posts. And as I'm looking through it, people are taking my name, they're taking my picture, they're changing the text, and they're saying I said these things. There's screenshots of impersonation, admitting guilt, and they don't know what to believe. And then I realized that, no, I still need to at least have one final document or whatever it is that can just clear this up for people. So I don't think staying out of it more would have helped at all. It seems like it was so convoluted and there's so much deception that people literally just cannot figure it out anymore.
And that was my struggle too, right? Is that there was your side, there was everybody's side, there was the forums, there was all this stuff, and it was just a mob. And you were talking about this earlier on your stream, right? You were getting a little bit of trolls talking about the podcast, but it was such a. I feel like the only way that me personally I could be satisfied. Maybe I'm using my clout a little bit here to satisfy my own personal curiosity, but I think it's a great story, and I want to follow that up too. Is that it really does take sitting down for 30, 45 minutes and really explaining and having a full picture of who you are, what you've done, how you got to BDO, what happened. And me personally, as somebody that's trying to find time to do YouTube and streaming and GM and all this kind of stuff, that, even though you kind of pride yourself on, I've got 7 billion silver, here are my billions, all that kind of stuff, this is how you make money. And I want to talk about that too, because you've gotten more toxicity than just, and I learned that just watching your stream tonight, than just 2 workers, 1 node. It's incredible to me. And I'm curious on why, when you talked to Morland, that you decided to do this when I sent you an itinerary and you knew that at least half of tonight's stream is going to be talking about the accusations and the drama and all that kind of stuff. So let's start there, and then we'll talk about the other toxicity that you received.
Okay. I wanted to do this tonight because I want to be your friend. I really do. And I really want to see your stream grow. The first time I ever found out you existed was when I saw the server message after my 1-hour ban saying, "This is the happiest day of my life, you're banned." I was like, I can't. Who is this person? What happened?
I'm Tim Mel, baby.
I've wronged someone. And I felt so bad. Like, I was like, what could I have done to this individual that he has become so mad? Like, I would like to understand him. I want to be his friend. This is somebody that I care about as just another individual. And I was so shocked. It didn't make any sense. And dude, you have 2 of my best friends in your guild, and they are great. Ian Giannis and Fake Uniform. And I'm doing this today, dude, because I think we should be friends. I like the idea of an open dialogue. And yeah, I'm hoping that your channels grow the way you want them to be.
I appreciate that. It's sitting down and talking. This is the first time you and I have talked.
It is.
And realizing how much we have in common, SWG, young business owners, GMs, streamers, all that kind of stuff. It's amazing what the parallels our lives have been in kind of opposite sides of this country.
Same
here.
age and all that.
Yeah, same age even. So let's talk about, can we take just 1 minute, grab a drink, hit the bathroom? We've been doing this for an hour. So let's just take 60 seconds and we'll reconvene, and then I'll get to the next question. Okay, be right back.
Morland, would you stop talking about the Hotel of Doom experience? He might not be here, but I can still talk to you. Dang it. This is what I get, man, for sharing my room with you. Real good, man. Thank you. No worries. Yeah, it's been a pretty big problem. I think I was pretty well liked as a guide
Hold on,
maker in the
I
middle
was
of
muted.
2016.
Let me restate the question.
Oh,
So let's go back to the toxicity received early on in the game while you're streaming, trying to make guides for people about making money, and then guilds decking you.
okay, so the middle of 2016, I received a lot of positive feedback from the guides. People enjoyed all of that content. The end of 2016, I had the tri-server tournament, and people really enjoyed the tournaments for the most part. But I think there were a variety of incidents that just kind of created a great amount of hate towards me. Number one was I made the mistake of broadcasting server-wide messages that I was going to be the first level 60 warrior in North America. And, you know, something I really tried hard to do, but that's obviously an arrogant, egotistical, pride-driven claim to get viewers. And what happens is when we have pride ourselves, we hate seeing it in other people. And typically the more pride an individual has, the more they revile when they notice the same thing in another individual.
Yeah.
So I did myself no favors at all by just saying, I'm going to be the first. And, you know, I did this grind over 6 weeks, and people love to just bring me down and attack me. The final 20 minutes of grinding took 6 hours because there were over 60 PvPers on Pirate, and the very, very, very last bit of XP took the entire day. Even Lakari was out there grabbing and trying to kill me. So that didn't help at all, and that was like September, October 2016. The coal crash, I don't know if that was a big issue or not, but I know definitely that created more animosity towards me. And then after the servers merged, I had played 3 servers. I played all 3 servers so that I would be prepared for opportunities.
Right, Think Tank 1. So this is an interesting point. This was my next question. Is that, do you think that that played into people accepting you as a guilty party regardless of the situation? Because you kind of skirted the line with that Velia thing. You still have those extra Velia workers, right?
No, I actually never did.
Oh.
Whenever after the merge, I clicked on it to find out if the lodging would increase. As soon as we found out that it would increase, then it was reported and it was fixed, and my worker, you know, that extra worker slot was never used.
Common knowledge is that it worked. There's so much misinformation.
I know.
That's incredible.
I know, isn't it? It is absolutely incredible. So you click on it to find out, is this a problem? And then it was completely fixed, and every single person lost the extra workers that they had. And there were a lot of people that probably tried to do that. And same thing for stables. So if not for me exposing that on live stream, people would have that unfair advantage the entire time. And even before the servers merged, I sent a ticket to Cacao and I said, listen, I've been playing all 3 servers, and I'm going to bring over 3 boss gear boxes. I'm going to bring over retired items. I'm going to bring over about 1 billion extra silver, and I have 3 times the loyalty because I played every server for all the days. I think that's unfair. What do you think? And I asked Dom at the time if they wanted to amend the rules for the server merge, because I felt like that was a little bit more of an advantage than any player should get. And they replied back to me that this is the way they wanted it to be done. And so, you know, I had all of that stuff at that point. But yeah, I'm sure some people were probably jealous that I came away from the server merge with so much stuff. But the biggest thing there was I anticipated the sharp and hard market changing. And this was a major issue, and people are still mad at me about this. Basically, because people did play multiple servers, because I've been ringing the bell on that for like 4 months earlier, a lot of people had sharps and hards to sell after the merge. So 5 days before the merge, I wanted to buy not at the all-time low. I simply wanted to buy to acquire an okay margin, not the best margin. And so they saw me buying hundreds and hundreds and thousands of sharps and hards. And then when they thought I had no money left, just because it was fun for me, I went to a donkey that had another 1.9 billion silver and gold bars. And then, yeah. And then I kept buying, and I was like, no, I'm not on silver yet. So that's when they lost their minds, and server messages went out that I'm taking over the whole market. And hard shards used to be 1 million and tons on the market. They all sold out, and the prices spiked over the next day. And I've been knocked off my horse saying that I'm the reason you can't buy a Sharp in this game. It's crazy. It makes no sense. Sharps and hards came back to the market 5 days after, on the day of merge, which is when I told everybody to relax and buy them then, because that's going to be the lowest price. I just wanted to get out ahead of the thing. But people hated me for that. So that was a big thing back in November of 2016. But just briefly, the last part of your question there, I did Bum to Billionaire, which was the coaching sessions over 6 months. And I would analyze the market and I would tell people what they could do for income. And I don't know the players that were involved specifically, but I know the Villain Guild really had a lot against me at that time, and FML actually. And at that point, there was a coalition created to drive me from the game. And what happened, I think it was as far as a Discord that was created so that they actually all friended me, and I accepted every friend request I got until I got thousands. And then what would happen is they could tell when I was on their channel. And they could also tell the name of my character. So it got to the point from basically January to like April of 2017 that if I left the city on any character, on any server while offline, somebody was there to kill me.
Wow.
Yeah, I could not do relics on my alts. I could not gather. I could do nothing. And it was miserable. And that feeds into April, which was the month that I just took off streaming to try to do Gaha's Elite because it finally relaxed. But people were very upset that I was teaching others how to make silver, that they tried to drive me out. I don't think most of them did, but I think that's how it started. And they got all the other guilds and just became the thing to do. Deck Exceptional Legion, kill Blade if you see him. So that was all a few months before 2 Workers 1 Node.
So this is what really played into. So you already had this group of people that hated you for what was a legitimate reason, right? In quotes, a legitimate reason. This guy is playing the market. He's smarter than me. But then the people that are also doing it are mad that you're putting it out there. I've got a secret or two that I wouldn't like to be put out there. So I can understand that side of things for sure. And so when you've got this whole coalition that's trying to ban you, and then 2 Workers 1 Node comes out. Oh yeah. It doesn't even matter what the truth is at that point. You were guilty a long time ago.
Right, in their minds, exactly. Plus somebody that makes guides on workers, and then I'm like, no, I had no idea this was out there. And obviously you see inefficient workers, bad workers. It's very easy to not believe the truth that I didn't know was happening.
So what brought you back to the game? Did I ask that already? Why do you think it's the right time to? You've been streaming a lot, almost daily. If it has been daily, I apologize, but it's almost something close to daily. And reading the patch notes, and you're really kind of putting a stake. And on your stream, you've got this many subs until I have this whole schedule. Why now?
So you're talking about why come back to the game in the last 2 months?
Yeah.
Right. So in my mind, it doesn't really feel like I took a break from the game so much. I started processing. I had hundreds of thousands of things to process. I was always going to go through those whenever Xbox video released, but when it didn't, then that got pushed back. I decided just to go through this. It's mostly because of what I was stating earlier, which is I really used BDO to take a break from life and needed to stop taking that break from life. So let's see, I think I streamed May 23rd or something. It was right after I got back from the wedding. That was when my AC was such that I couldn't properly put out streams. My mic was being drowned out. And it was not a conducive environment at all. So I was working on the stream. I started working out, started reading books, started going outside just to try to refresh because this is still something that I would like to do. So I was still processing. I was still playing, buying and selling. Did a lot of wagon work actually at that point. And so it was never that I quit the game and came back. It's just that I started taking care of myself for like the first time in 2 years.
I see. Okay. So you weren't really trying to lay low and reset on all this. You had real life stuff. You were processing. You were trying to farm Gahas. A friend got married. It wasn't like, man, maybe like the population of recycled. Was that a thought at all? Maybe in the back of your mind?
No, I didn't care about that. And it wasn't even that long of a break. Probably 3 weeks between streams. I had gone 4 weeks without streams in April of the year before. In 2015, when I did Elder Scrolls, I streamed every day, had 500 viewers. I had to take 2 months off because of work. So I've been a streamer for 5 years. So it's a pretty common thing for those that know my channel to take off months at a time as other things in my life come up. So wedding, E3, the fact that I couldn't stream well with the AC, just all drove me to do other things while I processed. And then actually another big point was that I had always played with a joystick since 2011, and I rebound all of my keys to a keyboard and mouse, and I hated it so much, and it was just so uninteresting to me. And I know that they changed the combat, so I was just happy not dealing with all that. I didn't want to get myself mad about all the changes, and just kind of did other stuff in real life for once.
Chat's asking me about wagons. There's something about you and wagons.
Wagons, huh? Do you know anything about the wagon?
I know nothing about that. This is the first time I'm hearing about wagons.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Okay, this is, yeah, a pretty big deal.
Oh, God. Another one? Can you stay away from controversy for, like, a minute?
No, I can't.
Jesus, dude.
All right, so, oh, man, it's almost hard to explain this properly without exposing the wagons, which I cannot do right now.
All right.
But I can tell you a little bit. I found a way to get additional storage by remote collecting wagons, and you can remote collect a wagon up to 20 times in one stable. Meaning if you go to one stable, you buy a wagon, you take it out, you go to a different stable, you can remote collect it, you can do it 20 times. And I sent in a ticket to Cacao saying that I discovered this and I would like to get 20 wagons in each stable. Is this a problem? They emailed me back. They said, let me look at your stable. Let me talk to our stable keepers. They did that and they found that it was totally above the board and fine. I explained my entire plan to Cacao. So I then spent the next 3 days doing this because it was a very long process. You have to take a wagon out of a stable, go somewhere across the map, remote collect it. 20 stables or 20 wagons each stable. I have 327 wagons right now. Yeah. Now, I cannot tell you the specifics of what it is, but I will tell you this. I have never found a better way to make more silver in less time than this.
Cool. You're going to have to tell me off stream then. Oh, we're not that good of friends yet. Okay. That's fine.
Nobody knows. So in 5 months, 5 or 6 months, it'll be exposed. It'll be a YouTube guide. It should hopefully so help the community that no one will ever go without wagons again.
Wow.
But it could totally fail, and it's pointless if I expose it now, because then it's just an idea. So I want to see if it'll either succeed or fail.
You won't even tell fake uniform?
No, I can't.
Wow.
Right.
Okay. Well,
so that's wagons.
I'm sorry I brought up
the
wagons.
Crazy thing is, since I didn't explain it and they just saw me buying wagons, the community, as they always do, lost their minds. They're like, what the hell is this? What's going on? Even on the last podcast where you and I were on it, I think it was Simple Jack that said, what is your obsession with cheating? Talking about these wagons. And it so hurt me. I was like, no, man, don't you understand? I'm playing the game. I can't explain it right now. And yeah, so I think it'll be actually really beneficial to people in the future.
Yeah, I Tim Allen the hell out of you on that podcast. That was like the only time you came on the Saturday podcast. And I want to clarify, Tim Allen is a character that I'm clearly not playing right now. I'm just being me, talking to somebody. But you're going in there asking about if you should use whale. I had no idea that you weren't PvP minded. You're BladeBoques. Everybody hates BladeBoques. I'll grab a pitchfork. I don't give a shit. Tim Allen don't give no shits. And so I grabbed a pitchfork. I'm like, you want to ask about whale tendon? You know, I ended up getting kicked from the server and stuff. That was like my 5th time getting kicked or something. I get reinvited right away. Now I'm running it, which is an irony that I can't even fathom. I can't. You know, since Man Up has lost, little self plug here. Since Man Up is disbanded, they've walked away. You still
run that character on podcasts? I've not heard it very much outside of our experience. So tell me about that a little bit. To hear more.
Okay, it's tough now because I have to run it, and so when it comes down to my interactions with other guilds, when it's my time to talk about the territory, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna go 100% in. I'm gonna be Tim Allen. But I'm going to have to, there's nobody for me to talk over because I'd have to talk over myself. And I'd love to put a moderator in there that was really respected, knows a lot about the game, because I don't think I'm the right moderator, but because I'd rather just go in there and people have to tell me to shut up and mute and all that kind of stuff, because that's fun. And so I want to have 2 podcasts tonight where I can sit down and really talk to somebody, get at the core of some issues, really help somebody open up about what's happened to them in BDO that's interesting to the rest of the community. And on Saturday, I just want to scream as loud as I can, winners, when can we play League of Legends together? So for now, I have to curtail that because I really need the success of the community needs a Saturday podcast. I can't just bring each individual guild leader every Thursday or every day of the week or whatever the case is. It just, by the time that happens, they'll go, Medaya 5 weeks ago? I don't know. Some people did some shit and that was it. What do you want to talk about? And so the Saturday podcast needs to happen 15 minutes after the siege. So it's fresh. Whoop, I'm sorry. That wasn't your computer. It was mine. So it's fresh in their minds. And everybody's still a little heated, about the win or the loss or the betrayal or whatever the case is. And so I've been thinking a lot about that this week, actually, since we had 1,200 people that tuned in, thanks to hosts in the community, for the last podcast. How am I going to skirt that? I'm running this, but also I'm kind of a staple in it. So I'm going to have to play both sides of it, but probably sacrifice a little bit of the Tim Allen for making sure it's successful and maybe a little bit more mature. Having Lucari as Lucari, and he did a great job with it. He built it, and it helped him build his stream. But
yeah, for sure,
bringing Vigor in there, was a little too toxic. And then having the comers and goers. I've spent most of this week trying to figure out, who's actually supposed to be in there, who can actually speak for these guilds. So we can get heated and toxic between each other, but I don't want these people coming in that shouldn't be in here whatsoever and just ruining the thing. TOS for Twitch and BDO partners and all that kind of stuff. We need to keep that out, and we can yell at each other about drama.
I think that's a good vision. Yeah, the community will definitely like to have that.
Vigor is life. I agree. Vigor is great, but I think the Vigor thing has been played out a little bit. He's done his thing with the podcast. We all know who Vigor is. Maybe he'll make a special. He's friends with me on Discord. He might come back. You'll have to tune in to find out. But I think he's an ace up the sleeve. I don't think he's somebody that needs to be coming in every week, because last week was really just Snake, B-Kill came in, and I got winners to come in, and they just had it out for 20 minutes about the alliances that are going on and kicking Snake off Medaya and all that stuff. And it was great content. And if we had more guilds in there, I didn't even talk about Balanos. We had a pretty good fight on Balanos and the drama and the politics that are going around. So we really just focused on the Medaya fight. And so if all the other guild masters get back into it, it's going to be great. And the concern was, well, we went on Lucari's stream because he had 1,200 viewers, or 2,000 viewers. It's like, well, you know what? The community's kind of getting behind me a little bit on this. So
yeah, they will. They'll watch.
Everybody hates Tim Allen is a dead meme. Because it's not, and you can hate Tim Allen as the character, but I'm not Tim Allen. I'm me, J-Train, whatever you want to call me. But so the Saturday podcast is my new mission, because I don't have enough to do. I don't have enough BDO content to create. I love this. It's so much fun, though. So thank you for that question. I appreciate being able to talk about plugging the Saturday podcast a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. That's interesting.
So I got another section here. I want to talk about the state of the game. So you say you haven't really taken that big of a departure from the game, but the game has changed a lot since you've taken it seriously. And since you're not super into PvP, maybe it doesn't feel that different to you. Is that an accurate description? Because there's been some massive PvP changes.
Yeah, it doesn't feel too crazy different. I still have my farms, my marketplace, and all of those good things. I still get stream sniped, and I still die to them. So not that many things have changed for me, but reading through it, seeing what they did with bundling the CCs and separating the resist versus evasion, I do see it's a different state of the game. But for me personally, I've not been too affected, and I think we all don't think this is the final state of the game. This is just an ongoing class tweak thing to hopefully get something resembling balance, which seems like an impossible job to me.
For sure. Do you feel the difference in the new servers?
Yeah, I do. We used to have some crazy latency. I mean, I remember going to negative ultimate whenever being in Siege, not being able to see our own tower, and then realizing that somebody, like 60 people were there and it was destroyed. So, but I haven't sieged since that, so I don't know how the Siege scene is. Is that just as bad, or did that get better too?
So we talked about that a little bit on this last Saturday podcast. Is I feel like, when you make a game this ambitious, that you should probably have the infrastructure behind it to support it. But there was a lot of people in chat that are a lot smarter than me. 1,200 people, and a couple of them chimed in with some really good feedback. Like there's not a server situation really in the world that can deal with that, and they split up players on purpose. And so my idea is, like, when I was on Calpheon, there's 15 people. We couldn't play. We got axed out by people that had a better connection, and they probably had our connection, right? And that happened to another guild and all that kind of stuff. And so, but there was 15 guilds, like showing up guilds. There was only 2 or 3 dead drops. So let's call it 900 to 1,000 people in one little area. It went terribly. Now, if you get 10 guilds that are fighting, you get some lag, you get some rubber banding, but it's fightable. You can get through it. And
That's awesome.
I think that's awesome. And I wasn't giving that enough credit. And being able to not just get axed down by invisible people, or not being able to click your respawn button or whatever the case is. I think the biggest problem we have right now as far as stability is the client stability. And my stream shows this, my recordings really show it, is I'll get disconnected. And it's been getting a little bit better lately with these recent patches, but I'll get disconnected anywhere from 2 to 6 times. As a main shot caller for a siege guild, that's tough. And then they put you back in the main city. If you're in Valencia, we had a node war against Vexus. We were super excited to fight Vexus, even though it was like a Tuesday. Half my guild got disconnected, and we had to run from Valencia City to Round Sulphur Works.
Oh, God.
And so Vexus is fighting 30 Aftershock, 20 Aftershock. Yeah, no way. So that was tough. But Vexus is doing well from what I understand. I know the Hexus core pretty well. I don't know much about the Velocity boys, but I know that Hexus core is strong. They're iconic. They're old Orwin guys. They're LOTD, all that. So that's it. I'm happy to see that they're still moving forward.
I can tell you a little bit more about the Velocity core because it's kind of funny and ties into me starting BDO.
Sure.
So you remember the guild leader of Havoc was named Anonymous 1. Well, the PvPers that I recruited was the skeleton of Havoc after Anonymous actually quit the game. So we pulled in about 6 really strong PvPers that became my officer corps and started leading and developing the PvP training. And that then turned into Velocity. They were very good ball group PvPers back in ESO, and they fought really well together in a variety of different games. So as far as I know, at least 5 of them are still together.
Are you familiar with the roundtable?
Yeah, I'm a part of it.
Are you a part of it? Can you talk to me? Because I was recently invited to it, and I really don't understand what's currently going on with it. You want to talk about maybe some of the successes or the current agenda? And I know I didn't put this in our outline, but it just kind of cropped up.
Fine. Yeah, I'll tell you what I know, which is very little. I was extended the invitation to the roundtable and let them know that I really don't check Discord that much, that I probably wouldn't be able to keep up on the issues, but they wanted my name to be there as far as, I guess, lending to part of credibility for the community. I don't know. I know there's a lot of pushback on whether or not I should be invited to it, but they did invite me, and I've read through it a handful of times, not that much. And the idea, I think, is just to connect to Cacao and have a player base, a small group that can have better direct contact with Cacao. Outside of that, it's been a long time since I read it, and I'm not a very good representation of it at all. But they did invite me to it. If they're inviting you, I think you should join it. I know Ozpin is in there. I know, Jeffy the Wise is in there, and just a lot of good people.
Yeah, there's a lot of good people in there, and there's a couple of weird picks, but you don't need to call anybody out. So let's to that end. What's your opinion? What makes BDO? What do you think the health of the game is right now? Knowing, with the preface of you're not super into PvP. And as much as I meme on it, especially in World Chat, my own stream, that if you're not playing for this game for PvP, I don't know what you're doing. So I don't understand that at all, just right off the bat. So it's interesting to get your perspective on it. What do you think needs to happen? How do you think the game is today? And what do you think needs to happen to make this game better? And do you think Xbox is a good move, even viable?
Okay, so there's 3 parts of that. Let's go through. Let's see, there was
State of the game right now,
state of the
prefaced
game,
of no
Xbox, and what
PvP.
my motivation is. So let's take those one at a time. I guess the state of the game is obviously, I would say, less than it was 2 months ago. Whenever you take an established MMO combat system and you revamp the whole thing, you cut the player base in half at best, if not destroy the whole thing. And you and I both got to see that in Star Wars Galaxies with the stupid combat upgrade and then the even worse new game enhancements when they're trying to turn it into World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
It ruined everything. And you get people that are so used to these systems and they like it for that. If they wanted other kinds of systems, they would have played the other games.
You know that the mastermind behind that game actually ended up killing himself?
No, really?
Really, he actually ended up killing himself because it was his life's work. Right, it was his life's work.
And then, my gosh.
And then LucasArts comes in. There's articles out there. I should link it when I bring this up.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's really sad.
Right about a year after NGE came out, he took his own life because it was his life's work. And looking at that in retrospect, like how we were talking about that there's never going to be another game like that. I don't support Cardona, but like I kind of like see it. Anyway, sorry. Wow. So state of this game.
Yeah, so the state of the game is obviously weakened and in flux. It's a little bit more chaotic than it was even a few weeks ago or a few months ago, but there will be more players. We have a fantastic product as an MMO. We have unlimited leveling. We have unbelievable combat, interesting systems with animation cancels and dynamic combat with life skills, all sorts of fantastic systems that no other MMOs can even touch. So this is a great product, even though it really just changed and turned on its head. We're going to get new players. We're going to get a new player base. And to couple that with the Xbox thing, I got to test the Xbox. I liked it. I liked it more than I expected. And
whoa, you got to test it?
I did, yeah.
Tell me about combat right now.
It's pretty good. So
really,
you move with one of the joysticks, which I was very familiar with. I've done that forever. And the other joystick is camera. And then you have a variety of, you got a wheel on screen that'll bring up your different abilities. You can hit a couple buttons and it'll cycle through them. So you can very rapidly choose if you're about to do, whatever this ability or that ability. It's fluid. It's very fluid and it's fast. And you have the same animation cancels on controller as you do on PC.
So you can do like a grave digging, awaken kick. I'm sorry. You can do a reckless blow into cancel kick into grave digging pretty seamlessly.
I wasn't able to pull it off, but all the controls should be there, and even the developers that made it said the exact same things are imported. So we're looking at an open beta in October, late September region, and they want to push it live right after the beta. So we're looking at this year. The problem is, whenever we got to meet with all these developers, is that they wanted to have the exact same Node War and Siege systems as PC and Xbox. They wanted no change because their own programming staff loves Node Wars. They're just obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And they realized that in all of the performance tests that they could not get anything remotely close to a reasonable performance in Node Wars on Xbox. So they're really back to the drawing board in terms of getting rid of animations and changing your coding and changing things like that, because it's simply too laggy to exist right now, but they think they can have it done in 3 months.
Wow. What about processing? Are they going to like keep the energy?
You know what? It's all in there. It's all in there. That's the craziest thing. You go up to the shore and you just start fishing. You can process. The AFK game is still in there, which I think is ridiculous. I don't know anybody that can even. I mean, you'll burn out your Xbox if you keep it 24/7. It's not a computer. It's very, very crazy. But yeah, it's a very, very similar version of the game. I think there are a couple tweaks and enhancing that I didn't get to find out what they were. And this is a little bit scary, but what they said was they wanted to try things that were better than PC, and if they were successful, they wanted to use that system on PC if there was fantastic successes. So we don't even know if the future of enhancing might change. I know, we were all pretty stunned.
I don't even know what to say.
And Morland's in chat. Let's see if he can get a confirmation on that to make sure I didn't word it wrongly. But he recorded a lot of it. He streamed it. And then also Rinku Talks recorded a bunch and streamed it. Morland has an interview with the developer going over things, and he can give you more information. But you know, I'm not personally afraid of a new enhancing system. They just said they're going to be doing things differently. And if the systems were great, they would apply them to the other servers and things.
So your friend in stream here says some more context that Blade hasn't mentioned. Blade's gaming life has been mostly focused on PvP. He loves PvP, but he also loves making the most money he can in games because he knows the more money you make, usually the better gear and items you have. So in BDO, he's putting the PvP on the back burner for now for multiple reasons, but he could also clarify this better than I'm saying. Sorry for the paragraph. He's said a couple of good things throughout this, and I just haven't had the chance to read it, so I at least wanted to take one.
Thanks for doing that. And thanks, Petra. So that's my SWG friend that
I think he's standing next to us. He was here earlier. Is he?
He might be. So yeah, we covered the state of the game. We talked about Xbox, but the last thing's just my final thought on that is once console releases, we are looking at a brand new and refreshed and rejuvenated community. Because I saw this already with Elder Scrolls. I saw the PC launch in Elder Scrolls, and I saw them take it to PS4 and Xbox. And what happened was the community almost tripled because people would play it on console and they would watch the streamers and they would watch the YouTubers, and everybody's channels just blew up. It was crazy. And there were more players everywhere in PC and in console. The community kind of rejuvenated. So I think we're looking at that in 3 to 4 months. So to be ahead of that, get your guides out now because the Xbox community will be looking to them in the future.
Interesting. So you think people will get access to this game on Xbox and go, oh my God, this is a PC game, you know, and jump over to the PC side? Or some people will be going, wow, it'd be great to just like be naked in bed playing this on my console. I mean, that's what I do with Diablo, you know?
Right. Some will jump to PC, some will jump to Xbox because they just like to play games on their couch. But there's actually a large MMO community on the console. And you see it in Final Fantasy, you see it in ESO.
Yeah.
What's really going to happen, it will affect you and me more because that means more Twitch viewers and more YouTube viewers. There's just so many people looking for the guides. So I think that's the future state of the game. The downside to that is when Elder Scrolls was only on PC for a year, I had never seen a better community. People were so nice to each other. It was almost sickening, even to me. It was just weird. It was like, what? It was just crazy because the average age was like 20s and 30s. And these are people that had played Elder Scrolls for the last few decades and all of the old stuff. And then when it went to console, it became so toxic and so just, it was a disaster. Every stream was affected, world chat and all that stuff. The community downgraded significantly, even on the forums. So knowing what I know of BDO, which is, well, this isn't the friendliest community I've ever come across. And then Xbox being launched, I'm not sure what that's going to do to the community quality-wise.
So somebody brought up crossplay in Twitch chat.
Right, we ruled that out. There won't be any cross-platform.
That would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
That's just, it wouldn't be fair, right? Just right off the bat, it just wouldn't be fair.
It wouldn't be fair.
You know, and that argument has been, you know, played across the FPS games, even with PUBG and stuff like that. It's like, well, keyboard and mouse is clearly better. It's like, yeah, well, I get my ass kicked by people using a controller all the time, and I probably don't even know it. So that's pretty even. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say it would not be fair to have Xbox players play with PC, even just for we've been here for 2 years, right? And our billions of silver, as you so famously put it, it just, I mean, tier 1s would probably be lit again, and that would force a couple of guilds to tier 2s, but I think you'd see a resurgence of those Dead Siege guilds trying to farm those kids too. So I think if Xbox has a chance, it has to be separate for a long ass time.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I guess the third question you're asking me there was my own enjoyment and what keeps me interested.
Right? Well, yeah, well, let's hit that, and then I got one more after that.
Sure, okay. Well, the experience that I got in Star Wars Galaxies over the course of 8 years and grinding into the nocturnal hours for basically a year to gain this power really showed me a variety of stages of strength in MMOs. So what, at least with my own understanding and my own reference, I basically see 3 pillars of power in an MMO. And one comes from gear and levels. And I kind of combine that into one thing. It's just your strength of your character with simply all of the in-game items that build your weapons and so forth. So that's one category, which I'm even now still working on to hit 62 and to up my gear. There's the next pillar, which would be consumables. Because once you have fantastic gear, you have these consumables that other people simply don't have access to. Elixirs of Thorns are retired items. Perfume of Courage on cooldown, Whale Tendon, elixirs and potions on cooldown. Things like this, that if you have evenly geared players, that immediately outmatches them. And then, of course, the third pillar, which is very, very important as well, which is your tangible skill and understanding the mechanics, understanding your opponents, having vast experience in a multitude of battles so that you know how to anticipate what's happening and react well with your cancels. So it's gear and level, it's consumables, and then it's mechanical skill. I've done next to nothing on mechanical skill because I've had the vision of playing Black Desert for about 3 years. The first 2 years I've worked on silver because it's the best form of getting gear. So once gear and level and consumables are at adequate points, I'm going to be working on the mechanics of the warrior, which is why I just swapped off joystick and now control my character with WASD. And once those 3 pillars are maximized, I think that allows for the best potential of any PvPer. And I'm going to be in Black Desert until I can reach what I think is my potential on a warrior.
Wait, when did you get off a joystick?
2 months ago, right before I stopped streaming.
You have a video of you playing with a joystick? Can we can you make a video of you doing that? You know, like how like Giannis does the keyboard like cam?
Right.
Can we have a joystick cam? I need to see this because I'm not sure I believe you. Out of all the stuff you've said tonight, this is the thing that I believe the least.
That's so funny. Let me explain it a little bit better. It's a thumb joystick on the side of a gamepad. Have you heard of Nostramos or Orbiters?
Yeah. They suck.
Okay, so there you go. So I've got, yeah, they kind of do. So the little thumb joystick that moves up, down, forward, backward is how I controlled all combinations and all movement on my character until about the end of May. Now you notice what those things are in your chat right now. KDF.
Yeah.
Those shields, we won't go off on a tangent here, but because my keybinds were so bizarre throughout the last few years, I would jump with F9, I would move with a joystick, unreal stuff. In my chat, there was a resurgent force called the Keybind Defense Force that was from learning my keybinds because it drove people insane.
What is wrong with you?
I didn't even do this. That's the nature of Twitch. That's just the community. So KDF got spammed.
No, they're right. You're wrong.
And then we had all these shields. It's an emote. As you can see, the KLF is the Keybind Liberation Front, which fights to free the keys and get me to talk more about my keybind.
This is amazing.
It's pretty crazy.
Okay, so I got 2 responses to that. Number one, you killed me at Nuver using a freaking joystick?
Yeah.
Okay, well...
Don't feel bad. I killed McCann's.
You killed McHands with a joystick thumb thing?
Yeah, he was pretty mad when he found out about
He should be mad.
I haven't done any PvP since I've used WASD. I'm just starting to learn. I can't control my character at all, really.
Okay, right? I've never claimed to be a great warrior, so saying that you killed McCann's with a joystick, you should probably just pack up. You should just call it a day, say F you to all the haters about the life skill shit, and go, I killed McCann's with a joystick. If you were Tim Allen, that's how Tim Allen would have defended himself against all these accusations. This little thumbstick thing that I'm doing, McCann's bowed to it. Screw off. That's me. That's me. I don't know. Maybe we can collaborate on PR a little bit there because that's incredible. Put that on your resume. I need a video of this. You really need to make a video. You want to talk about YouTube content? Do it for me. Please. Sure. I can't even wrap my head around it. Do you have a second webcam or something that can? Yeah,
I can. In fact, I actually have I have a video showing how to move on a warrior, and I explain it. I don't show the camera, but all my keybinds make no sense, and I try to walk people through it, and you see the slow-mo clips. But yeah, I found out through tournament play that I couldn't get past a certain level where I knew what I wanted my warrior to do when I saw it on screen, but it was just doing other stuff. Because like we're talking about 1 millimeter twitches on my thumb. I couldn't control it to a high level, so I've just restarted completely to try to relearn all the muscle memory.
I am so tilted. My face is red. I can see it on my OBS.
Yeah, I see the stream over there. Oh, sorry, man.
Okay. Let's get back on track. So what do you think BDO, Cacao, everybody needs to do to further grow this game? And so I guess you think Xbox is a good or obvious next iteration, but as far as, you know, us PC master race people, what would you like to see from your own perspective of how you enjoy this game? What would you like to see either Cacao to continue to do or start doing to make it better?
Sadly, I've got a pretty boring answer where I'm actually quite content with what they have here. I really like to just make my own goals and find something interesting with these wagons and gear goals and things like that. So I don't personally care what the rest of the content is. I don't know exactly what would expand the community. I'm glad I'm not in charge of that kind of decision making. But my personal opinion is that the more we have catch-up mechanics that basically allow players to earn the equivalent of what past players could get in 1,000 hours, whenever they can start getting the same kind of results in 100 hours or in 40 or 30 hours, I think it devalues earned progress of MMO players so much that it makes all the people that are the die-hard core fans of this game lose interest, because they then have a question mark as to whether or not they should put the next 1,000 hours into the game. So catch-up mechanics are the way of every MMO. It brings in new people, but I think it prevents a lot of the older players from really enjoying the quality moving on. So
well, let's dig in on that. Let's dig in on this. Sure. I strongly disagree with you.
Okay.
Handing out 20 hards and 50 memory fragments is a drop in the bucket to me. It's nothing. It's nice, and there's people out there that sell all that stuff because they just want to put pre-orders out there. But right. I don't. 20 hards to a new account, and I have a Steam account, right, that I play and screw around with just to get some perspective on what it is to be a new player. And I worship those attendance rewards. When I hit my attendance rewards on Tim Allen, I go, when's my next accessory box? How many Shitaku seals am I getting? You know, I just, you know, I look for the best thing and go, great, there's my next spike of 80, 100, you know, maybe 50 mil, whatever the case is. I don't look at the hards. Right. I don't look at the sharps. It doesn't matter. It is a drop in the bucket. But what I know it does is the people that have been playing that come into my guild on a very regular basis that go, I've been playing this game for 2 months and I've got your requirements for your guild. I'm like, my requirements are too low. You know, now it's 530. But like I had somebody just today, Ash, he's in my Discord. He's probably in the stream right now. He goes, hey man, I've been playing this game for 3-4 months nonstop and I'd see no end in sight. If he played the game that you and I played, I started at Meiwa. I didn't start at Beta. I almost said Beiwa. There would be no way to compete. And there was no catch-up mechanics for me when I started 6 months, basically, after the game launched. And so to be able to bring these people into what most people see as in-game and the real content and being able to, you know, skirt around in Siege and the who's who and all that kind of stuff, that wouldn't be possible without handing out those 20 shards, without all these events. And quite frankly, I haven't logged off in so long because of these attendance events, because right. I know that you want to talk about efficiency, that's what that's about. So for me, for an experienced player, it's all about, okay, I have to log in every day for even if it's 5 hours. I just leave a laptop on and all that kind of stuff. I don't see a downside to that. I'm really surprised for you to make a stance on that.
I think you're completely right that it's better for the community, and I acknowledge that, and I'm not on a crusade to get anything changed. Just want to reiterate, I'm fine with how the game is. But my own personal preference is that I think the quality of an individual's journey would be better without them taking something that requires a certain amount of effort and then making it drastically less in the future. And the reason why I hang my hat on this is because we already have 2 major categories of diminishing returns. The first diminishing returns is leveling. So basically, it will take you longer and longer and longer to level because it's so incredibly hard.
Right.
And the other is gear. You know, it's much harder to get Tri than it is to get plus 15. It's much harder to get Tet than Try and Pen than Tet. We already have diminishing returns on gear, and we have diminishing returns on leveling. So what happens is, without any infusion of events or XP or whatever, there is actually a plateau that people will approach. It just almost becomes invisible, where they'll spend this huge amount of time and get these incremental minor gains versus other people that can spend a fraction of the time and get very close within a level or two or within a few bits of gear. But when you have a level like, level, I don't know, we'll just pick arbitrary numbers here, but if it takes you 1,000 hours to reach a level, and you spend 1,000 hours in order to attain that, because the difference is so little between level 62 and level 61 when you're fighting a player, there's absolutely no reason to wait 6 months and say, now you can get the same achievement in 100 hours. I don't see any purpose in having it. And what it does is just kind of devalue the progress that players put into the game unnecessarily. It's still good for the community because people like the handouts and people are going to continue to log in for these rewards. But I don't personally enjoy it as much as if they weren't here.
Okay, so as the first level 60 warrior, and you did achieve that, right?
Yeah, I did. On NA. There was somebody on EU that beat me.
Okay. So as the first level 60, and I was late to 60, but I hit 61 super early. I've been level 61 for a year and 4 months, I think. And so
yeah, it's early.
It was whenever that, it was literally a day after the patch where they nerfed 61. And so I was 98%, then the patch came through and I knocked it out like that, man. Right? And so the leveling thing tilts me a little bit, right? But my problem as a siege guild that has survived, and if there's one thing you can say about Aftershock, is we haven't only survived, but we've figured out how to thrive throughout all of this garbage, all of this BS, is that people quit so often that if these mechanics don't devalue what I've done, but they help me push at 253 AP, they help me push to 256, right? I'm at that soft cap where it's like, shit, how do I get past this? And all these little bonuses that are like, oh, great, you know, I got an extra 10, 15 mil today, whatever the case is, it all adds up. It all adds up. It's something I can put into it. So I'm gonna put my hat on the here and say that you're 100% wrong and that it benefits everybody. But I also don't have a ton of time.
It does benefit everybody.
I don't have a ton of, you know, my attention is so split that if somebody hands me 10 mil, I'm like, oh, thank God, you know, where you're like, oh, 10 mil? Yeah, I got all these wagons. So maybe perspective on PvP focus versus PvE or, you know, life skill and all that kind of stuff kind of digs into that a little bit. But
I think you're right. It's better for the community and we have to have it. And all games have it. There's not a single game I've ever found that doesn't have this. But my only perspective that I'm making here is that, you know, if something takes 100 hours and you spend the 100 hours to earn the achievement, and later on that same thing takes 25 hours, when the next thing takes 100 hours, you're simply not going to be as interested to do it because your time, which is one of the best incentives of playing a game like this, time equals progress. It's just not there. So you just lose a little bit of interest. So I'm glad I'm not in charge of any of these decisions and don't want to change things. But my personal opinion is I like it more whenever that isn't available.
You still got to be first, though. You should put that on your Twitch page. First, level 60 NA warrior. I would do it 100%, man. Anyway, can we talk about your pen Red Nose?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Talk about your bags?
No, we cannot. Did you watch that stream?
No, the chat is talking about.
Oh, no, I want to hear about your. I want to hear about your pen Red Nose. I was looking at your gear. So you have a pen Blue Awakening, which is fine. I can get behind that. But the pen Red Nose had to be a mistake, right?
No, it wasn't a mistake. See, I don't actually enhance virtually at all. Okay. Just looking at the economy in the game. Because we don't have a capitalistic economy, it doesn't allow for the natural forces of supply and demand to get an equalized price value. And what we have are price ceilings that are far under the value of the items. And we can see that because there's such a shortage. You can't simply go and buy pen gear. You can't even go and buy duo ogre rings because it costs on average much more than the price that we're allowed to sell them for. Knowing this, I made sure that rather than enhance and then play the RNG game, I would be in position to bid as often as I possibly could. And this started back in the very beginning of the game when my strategy was to not have armor past +7 because I didn't want to lose a single armor stone and wait to bid on literally +15 ultimate pieces of gear. And people saw that and said, all right, well, that's fine, but you're never going to be able to do it for a duo ogre ring. And I said I would. And I actually got the first duo ogre ring on Eden and messed up the captcha so many times it sat on the market for 5 seconds. Well, people didn't think it would ever happen. And so I've always had enough silver to bid on opportunities because the net worth of the item is so much higher than the price. So having the billions that I did this January, I had an opportunity to buy first a pen Novair. It was sitting on the market and it was 4.3 billion. I snatched that thing up and I was excited by that win. 3 weeks later, a pen red nose hit the market. I had a Tet red nose and this was 3.5 billion. So I knew that the item cost well more than that to make. So I decided to bid on it and I got it. And then the same thing happened a week later with pen Muskins and then with the pen Greatsword. So I've been bidding on these things and winning simply because the price is, the value is so much higher than whatever I had to pay.
You literally have just a you have a closet full of discount pens.
I do. I absolutely do. And yeah, it's funny to me too, but I love it because even right now I can sell them and get well more than my money back. It was always a good decision, but I just bought these hand-me-downs. But honestly, my net worth has thrived because of these decisions. So eventually I will either pre-order Demtree or make it myself, but I was pretty happy to get every single one.
It's so funny because I'm looking at your gear and I'm going, you know, I just got this pen Gaiath and I'm going, oh my God, what a meme, right? Like, even Giannis is like, I'm going for pen Gaiath attempts. And I'm like, stop, just stop. Don't just pick something else. And then I hit this Gaiath and I'm going, I'm going to tap this thing because it's my EXP helm and I don't care about it. And afterwards, I'm just going to YOLO my dandy. And then, of course, you know, this POS helmet goes through. So I'm looking at your gear and I'm going, we have somebody in my guild that's actually really famous for having pen red nose. And that's why I had to ask about it. I'm like, oh my awesome. God, Blade had, he enhanced it. It was like 120 stack or something, right? Like, and he's had it for a year. So it was great. Now that Renown's come out, it's really helped him. But that's funny. I didn't realize you just bought your stuff. I guess I should have assumed that with your the amount of liquid capital that you pretty consistently have on deck.
Yeah, I bought every single one. I think I enhanced one accessory one time, and it was a Pry Gladiator Schultz belt. I was trying to get it back when those belts were 6 million each.
Yeah.
And then I poofed it, and I was like, where'd that 12 million go? I need that back. I'm never doing this again. That was the only valuable accessory I've ever tried to create myself.
Wow, I failed. I mean, yeah. We're all trying to get that Tet Crescent failure thing going on, and it's got a 75 stack and all that. So yeah, it is tough. It's
easier. It's a bit easier to enhance with like the constant flow from just guild payouts. For me, in the last 7 months, I've gotten 40 million from guild payouts, so it's virtually non-existent.
Did you have a pen militia shield?
No, I've been trying though. That's one thing. If I get enough stuff to enhance, I actually tried to get a pen militia shield. Now, I'll tell you a secret about that.
There's so much evasion on it. There's so much evasion on it.
Exactly. All right, good. You know, it is the same hidden evasion as a Demtree or Red Nose. It has 120 evasion. So with a pen Muskin and with
that's a build.
If you can go sealed magical earrings, if you can get Rokaba helm or Grunel, you're looking at a very, very, very viable evasion build.
Did you sell your Sissels?
No, I still have it.
Good.
I put it up to a stream vote, which Tet accessory I was going to sell. It was either the Tet Ruby Manos or the Tet Witch or the Tet Sissel. People wanted the Tet Witch.
The Witch one, yeah, of course. That's pretty meta right now. I'm so glad I was in your stream for that. I was like, you got pen Muskins, man. You got to hold on to that neck. You get a Sissels. So we're all kind of talking internally about, you know, could evasion come back? You know, on Warrior,
probably,
because most of our DP buffs are DR. It's questionable, but you know, if you get the spreadsheet out, at what point is DR too much? But it scales pretty well, so probably never. But then you've got HP that goes into that, and that's why like the Gaiath Griffin thing is kind of who knows. But then, you know, some old boy comes in with pen Muskins, Tet Sissels, and a pen militia shield. Are you gonna be like the next Kuno? You know, the evasion
kind of
build
what I'm
62 Kono.
I'm leaning towards. First, it's leveling gear, and I'm nowhere near that. 5-6 months, my wagons will be done. My silver problems will be extinguished, and I'll be able to get a crazy amount of gear. I've already got the consumables, and I'm going to be working on the mechanics. So
you're killing me with
we'll
this
see what
wagon
my
thing,
gear-
man. You're killing me with this.
Oh man! Did you see what Lakari said about it?
No, I didn't.
I'll send you over the screenshot later on Twitter. It's pretty good.
The last so Saturdays, I have to tell a quick story. The Saturdays podcast, I had 1,200 or 1,100 people watching, and so I kept streaming off of that, and then it dwindled down to 500 people or something. So I'm like, this is Lakari's thing. I need to host Lakari, even though he's playing like Quake or something. He's a full-on variety streamer. So I host him, and he's got he still has that $3 donation text-to-speech thing. And so a person who identifies as W is spamming max characters W, and he spent probably $10 or $30, 10 times $3.
Wow.
And it's just W, 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 W. So my biggest host I've ever done on anybody goes to the man that seems like it should be right. And my chat is blowing up with, what the hell is this? So I unhost him, and I host Menace, which, Menace and I are boys. I asked him a question. I was like, are you going to stream for a while? Because I get this big host, and he didn't get back to me because he was doing his thing. And so I re-hosted, in Lakari's chat, blows up, Tim Allen unhosted you.
Oh no! Oh no!
I felt like such a dick, but like I couldn't. If I can't watch it, I mean, he had a minor reaction on stream, but like I sent him a message.
Lakari had a minor reaction.
Yeah, he everything. Yeah, he really did. He was like, Tim Allen home with the host. Man, how was your stream? And then he reads Twitch chat. He unhosted me. Oh man, I just got fucked up in Quake. So that's That's hilarious, man. And so I sent him a message in Discord. I was like, dude, I couldn't watch it. If I can't watch it, I have to rehost. He's like, don't, it caps LOL, don't even worry about it. But like,
oh, it's funny.
It's such a good time. That's something I really wasn't expecting. Fake uniform. Giannis, Giannis has been in the guild for a while, and we've been acquaintances, right? With him being in the guild, and he's interested in seeing Aftershock succeed. And I was humbled that he chose my guild. But, fake uniform coming in, and then meeting people like Kwai Corgi and you, and having this whole community within Twitch, it's incredible how somebody can flick on their stream, have a little bit of success, have, a couple of ideas, and how everybody embraces somebody that really wants to help grow the community of the game, and the host back and forth, Shaky Bay, all these guys. I have so many people to thank to be, where I am today, and for you and me to be talking and all this kind of stuff. It's really incredible. And a lot of people in my guild have started streaming, and I have a little bit of pride. I'm going, yeah, you're going to stream? Okay. And then I'm like, shit, I'm going to host them, like, let's get these guys in here, and that whole flavor of the community is pretty amazing. So there's
a lot of really good content creators. I love them. They're fantastic, and they're really what makes the community for me.
I completely agree. And I kind of, with the podcast going on, I guess this is my thing now. This is so I identify myself as a BDO content creator. I applied to be a BDO partner. I hope my behavior is fitting to them. But I'm a little out there, so I understand that. But man, do I need some help with that YouTube stuff. So I'm going to be reaching out to the community a little bit on that, because I just don't. You want to talk about being spread thin? I do not have time to edit.
I don't know how you're doing what you're doing, man.
I'm going to put this 2.5 hour podcast up on YouTube and hope it uploads, before I have to stream again. That's literally my YouTube plan. So.
Yeah, what you're talking about with helping the new streamers and stuff, I find that really, really admirable, dude.
You did it just the other day. I was watching your stream, and you're like, just go into this person's stream. I really like her. I missed what the situation was, but we all clicked on the stream, and she went from 3 viewers to 100, and she was getting follows and a couple of subs and all that stuff, and she was humbled by it and like, oh my god, Blade, thank you. And it's like, I'm like, what a cool move, you know, what a great thing to do. And it really didn't, you know, as a streamer that's trying to build, you're trying to make these connections as kind of a peek behind, if you will. You know, you want to build connections like Menace and I are working together, and then you and I'm gonna mispronounce his name. Tell me your best friend streamer.
Giannis?
Nope. You guys host each other all the more
Good vibes guy, Moreland.
Yep, Moreland. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't want to.
Oh no, it's fine. But you know, I really feel blessed. I really do, and I've had the privilege of finding, just as you are, just how cool these people can be with building a community. I don't know if you heard the story. Do you mind if I tell a quick story?
Not at all.
I was streaming in Elder Scrolls, and I think I had about 300 viewers, and I was PvPing, so the chat was moving pretty fast, getting kills, fighting, and somebody popped into my stream, and he only said one thing, which was, I only have 12 followers. And I saw that, and I just felt kind of bad, and I was like, wow, what a pitiful thing to say. You know,
Yeah.
Obviously he wants more followers. He's kind of desperate, but I said, here you go, buddy. Now you have 13. I decided, you know, what the heck, I'll throw him a follow. Well, the next couple of days, I see he's live, and he's live for 0 viewers. And I go over and I just watch his stream. 13. I have it on for about an hour while I'm doing other things. And he is talking up a storm. He's playing this Egyptian puzzle game, talking about aliens and trying to do all this stuff. And I mean, 0 people in his channel, still looking over at chat all the time. And I strike up a conversation and say, you know, you're a nice guy, but you're playing a stupid game nobody wants to watch. Why don't you come over and play Elder Scrolls and see how it goes? Well, he does, and he builds like 20, 30 viewers, and he loves streaming, and it's his favorite thing. He was an inner city school teacher, and he also led a Bible study, I think, or something like that. And he hated his inner city school job because he was getting spit on by these kids all the time, and they were 4 years older than the age and that they should be in these classes. They wouldn't sit down, they'd throw things at him. And he was so traumatized by this job that he didn't know what to do. And I said, you know, at that point, I was traveling the country and I owned my own company. I said, let me give you a call tomorrow. So I call him up, found out that he had a great interest in what I was doing. We worked together. He actually drove out, met me in New Jersey. We traveled together for 2 months. And I told him all about sales and things like that, which he then quit to go back and marry his fiance. And I went to his wedding. And now he's one of my best friends in life. I love this guy. My life is infinitely better because I met him. And this was some random dude on Twitch that said, I have 12 followers. So everybody out there in stream that's here right now, remember that behind the name of all these people is a human being with their own life and their own problems that we know nothing about. And if we take the time to actually treat other people better than we think they deserve, you don't know how your life is going to change, and you don't know how you might change their life. Because what I found from this guy, and his stream is Noctwolf TV, what I found is that he actually was going to drive off the road on the way to his work at this inner city school, and he had a heart attack preventing him to do it. He was going to commit suicide, and even to this day, he says that I saved his life. It was a crazy, humbling experience that changed everything about how I treat everybody that I ever see online. And I think we should all do the same thing.
That gives me a lot of perspective on you. I have thought because you're, if I can be candid for a moment, your Twitch profile a while ago, before you had your website, was a dossier or you know, basically all of your work experience and all of your success. And I know you're trying to sell that in BDO, and I found your kindness arrogant. And I really, this has been a really cool, it's over 2 hours at this point, to really understand your story and how, you know, being a genuine good guy and touching people's lives and having these long-term friendships with these people that you just met on the internet. It's so rare. I hope you know it's rare that you have more than one story about that, because so often as a GM of a competitive game, people just go, and it's the hardest thing for me to deal with, if I can get personal for a second, is, you know, we promote ourselves, Aftershock, as a community guild, and we try to be as much as we can, but ultimately you still have to be competitive to be Aftershock
Yeah.
and BDO, and we don't quite have another game, but like we'll play PUBG, we'll do whatever. We'll play Minecraft if fake, drags us into it. That's a meme. But we'll play other games with people all the time, but people will just leave our Discord and unfriend us, and that's the last we ever hear of them. Like people we really consider our friends and stuff like that. And I have so many stories of so many people that I felt that I truly cared or they truly cared about me.
Right.
That
So
just
hard.
kind of you unplug it and that's the end of it. And it's really actually personally inspiring to me that you've made these connections that have lasted. And I have one or two friends from the World of Warcraft days, and one of them may be in here tonight. I really hope he is. He supports the stream a little bit. But, obviously we don't play the same games. He's playing Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft still. I'm doing, my thing, and it's tough, so I'm happy for you that you have been able to make those connections, because that's awesome. I've made so many connections, and it just seems every time I do it, almost get burnt for it. And even if you follow World Chat a little bit, especially when I'm so happy that Balanos gets World Chat for free now.
Yeah, you're using that a lot.
Yeah, I am. To promote the Tim Allen character, but those characters that I've burnt or they've burnt me or whatever the case is, they just come out real quick in World Chat, and it's kind of a sore reminder. Even some fellow streamers that I just don't quite get along with. It's too bad that people see people on the internet as not people and something different.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, as much of a meme and a shitlord as I am, we're both still people. We put our heads down on the bed at the end of the night, just like everybody else, and we have to live with what we saw, what we lived through, and we have to get back in front of that camera. And I have a lot of respect. There's a couple of streamers that I really like, but I have a lot of respect for people that turn on that webcam every single day. Every single day. There's not a day off, and I'm not taking shots at people that, it's too hot or you have your excuse, and that's fine. But
yeah, it's impressive to me too, seeing those guys.
Yeah, putting your face out there every single day. It's a tough thing. And we do it. So that's my little soapbox on that. Thank you for sharing that story, or those stories.
Yeah, absolutely. I really am blessed to have the friends that I do. I'm very grateful.
Well, I want to apologize for being such a Tim Allen to you in World Chat.
Not necessary. Don't worry about it.
I think what really got to it is that I didn't realize that you weren't on Discord, and I felt like you were intentionally giving me a cold shoulder. So I'll put that out there.
I can see
publicly.
why you feel that way or felt that way. Yeah, absolutely.
If we had this conversation a year ago, things would be way different.
There's no way.
Yeah.
So no apology necessary. I gotta tell you, I got my kitchen so clean with all that bleach. Thank you.
Oh, dude, I forgot about that. Oh my god. I used to be that shitlord in other people's streams, gifting and stream sniping and all that stuff. Now I kind of have a better perspective on that, but that's okay. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Just kind of freeballing it?
No, I'm still up to talk about anything else if the chat has questions here, but I've had a really good time so far, man. I find you very sincere, and I'm grateful that you wanted to do this.
Yeah, I mean, this is me. This isn't the character. This is 100% me, and that's what I try to do on this podcast, so I appreciate that. Thank you for the compliment. I'm still hydrating. I've got to take another 30-second break. If you want to talk to chat and I'll be right back, that's totally cool. I will be right back.
I'll take one too.
Okay, so Blade probably isn't back yet, but I have a question for chat. I have a completely different perception of BladeBoques. I want to know if anybody out of the nearly 400 people that are watching this Does anybody here have a different perception of Blade after watching whatever portion you have watched? Has anybody changed their mind one way or the other? Okay, so Beaver Cracker says no. Why no? I've always known Blade to be a good guy. This has made me love him 10 times more. Wow, okay. Does he have a Pengaeth, though? Sort of. I don't really care about him, but I'd say my opinion of him is more positive. Okay.
But I'm back as well.
So I just asked chat if this time with you has changed their opinion of you one way or the other. So if you want to scroll through chat a little bit here, this is actually really interesting. Okay, that's an interesting point. So Moose is in my guild, and he's a good supporter of the stream. He says he seems super polite and nice, but also overly arrogant. I feel like that. Do you get that often? The arrogant thing?
I do. It's something I'm trying to work on. And you're absolutely right with my old profile. I came off of such a high of like 8 years of success, featured in real estate books and, you know, retired or whatever for 11 months, 23, that getting into broadcasting, I was like, my biography should just be a list of my accomplishments. And that's not a way to go at all. And so, yeah, for sure. I apologize, you guys. I don't mean to be arrogant, but there's no question that, you know, pride is one of the things that I struggle with.
You're a salesman. Your job is to sway our minds. Oh, man, can I relate to that? Did you do a lot of sales? Is that accurate? Are you a salesman? Do you identify as a salesman?
I don't like identifying as a salesman.
Nobody does, right? But ultimately, if the shoe fits.
Yeah, salesmen get a bad rap. They've gone to all extents of the world to sell their services and products, but they never sell themselves. And I think that we're inundated with bad salesmen that are pushy and try to get people to buy things they don't want. Everybody loves to buy. Nobody likes to be sold. So a proper salesman, in my opinion, is the soft sale type that is there to answer questions, which is what I did in presentations and things like that. And people love to get information so they can make an educated decision and pick up either a product or service that makes their life better. That's what a good salesman does. And most of the profession is bad, where they're stifled by greed and they'll cut corners. And no question, we get a bad rap. I don't think of myself as a salesman, but I did have a lot of years doing it.
My God, we have so much in common. It honestly kind of disgusts me. I do the same thing. I'll leave my business card, be like, I'm doing this for the rest of my life. You don't want to buy from me today? Next time you need this, call me. And if it doesn't fit, I'll tell you where to go. You know? So, Arnold Spawn 1, who is famous for a clip of, quote, gaping, Bert, says, this stream made me feel bad about all the people I've shit-talked. Which, he's probably one of the most toxic people in my stream, who's also one of my favorite people in my stream, because I
like Arnold.
I kind of love toxicity. And I'd believe him. I think that's true. Can you respectfully ask Blade if he's ever made a video about an item just so market gets flooded to support his market? I've always wondered. Yeah, have you ever used your clout to kind of play the market a little bit?
I never have, and I never will. That's market manipulation, and that's not something I have any interest in at all. I understand that my guides will affect the market, but really, if you're not just going out there and building what you have with integrity the right way, in the end, it means nothing. So that's been some of the accusations that were leveled against me, but they're not true. I regret some of my guides just being as rudimentary as they were, where what I used to do was I gathered sheep meat and I put it on the market, and I was so happy with my 2 million an hour, and that was one of my first guides, and it's still out there because there's 20 methods of making silver. But in later guides, I amend that and I say, what you guys see, don't ever do that. Like, and I stopped doing it. So I always gave it the information that I had, and it got better over time. It was actually quite bad in the beginning, I think.
Bika wants to know if you had a keyboard and mouse during the 3v3 tourney, would we have won the whole thing?
I can't even get my character to walk straight with a keyboard and mouse right now. Absolutely not.
Is it really that hard adjusting from a completely backwards way of playing any video game?
I'm really very bad at it.
Oh, Jesus,
I'm sure
dude.
other people could do it easier or better, but I've had trouble. That's why I like to do the jump puzzle for the last 7 days and the race against Moral. It was a lot of practice just controlling my character. I tried to do like a forward charge, and then boom, there goes Scars of Dust. I'm like, oh, that was meant to move my character. Here's another ground smash. Hang on. And it's actually pretty bad.
So who won that? That's not something I'm interested in watching.
The Moreland jump race, I actually did, but it took me 7 days of practice.
What's the benefit of winning? I hate the summer event so much. You get nothing for doing it.
You get basically nothing. Either some sharps or hards or memory fragments. I think I got 5 memory fragments. What? Totally wasn't worth it. I think Moreland kind of trapped me knowing who I am. He was like, yeah, he's like, I got to go off on a plane trip and I'll be back next week, but I'll give you 20,000 or I'll give you 2,000 bits if you beat me in the race. And I was really hoping I wasn't going to get obsessed with it, but I did. And so I did it every day for 7 days.
So did he give you the 2,000 bits?
Yeah, he did. And Skull Monkey,
that's so toxic.
Skull Monkey gave me $60 when I finally actually reached the 5th pillar after a week. So it wasn't worthless for me.
Somebody, there's a couple of you guys, like, I don't identify as a streamer. There's a couple of streamers doing the jump puzzle thing. And maybe I've got a little bit of just like bad nightmares from Guild Wars 2 and finding all those little envelopes for the vistas or whatever they were. I hate jump puzzles so much that they even have that there, and I hate fishing there because I just know it's my vicinity. And there's nothing wrong. It's great content. I hope everybody enjoys it. I'm glad some streamers got to do it, and you guys had that fun little contest. But holy crap, I don't have the patience for it. It just drives me up the wall. It's like, I'm just going to go hit Mashams for a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's funny. Do you want to talk about, I'd like to know a little bit more. Are you still good to talk? It's getting late here. I know you said you didn't have a time limit, but.
Yeah, I've got some more time.
You want to talk about you and Moreland's relationship a little bit? Because I'm pretty curious about that. How did it start?
Sure.
Etc.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I have a great amount of respect for Moreland. I think he's a great guy. So he and I started streaming BDO pretty early in 2016, and he had low viewers. I had low viewers. We were both around 20 or 30 in the very beginning. And I had another friend, actually, Masilis. I'm sure you know him very well. And Masilis used to watch my stream once or twice. So, right. So Masilis, Moreland, and I started streaming BDO around, right from the beginning. And Moreland and Masilis really hosted each other constantly. Moreland and I, we didn't really ever have any kind of formal host each other agreement, but the fact that we've been streaming the game for so long that we got to know each other's channels. I'd hang out with him. He's a smart guy. We do similar things in game. And I got to meet him, I think 3 TwitchCons so far. So this is kind of funny actually, when I was going to E3, I popped in his chat just to say hello and whatever. And then he said, "Hey Blade, do you have a hotel room? Because I waited too late to get one." And I was like, "Yeah, I was just gonna say hi to you, but I have one." He's like, "You mind if I crash there?" And I didn't mind. That's fine. It made it more interesting than just a boring night without conversation. So yeah, we crashed in one hotel room and then had the E3 adventure with Cacao.
So you'd never met him, right?
No, I had already met him at 3 TwitchCons. So we knew each other. Or was it 3, 2, 2016, 17? 2 TwitchCons, I think. I can't remember. But yeah, we had met several times before, and so.
I thought you were sharing. Was it you were talking about this? I have a wireless headset, so I heard you when I took my break. Was there some sort of story that happened in this hotel room you shared together, Monka TOS and chat, please?
What is this 2 streamers, 1 bed nonsense? Dang it, chat. Look at this.
Oh my
Well,
god. Okay, so you didn't exploit, but the 2-on-1 thing is just that's great content. That's great possibility for a lot of toxicity. I think that's a good we'll talk about that later. Tell me what happened in the hotel room.
oh my god, nothing.
Nothing?
Obviously,
Nothing happened.
but nothing. What? Hey, that's not even chat. Shut up. That's not a real question. Don't listen to Marlon. He also said he got me drunk at the last TwitchCon. I never had a drink in my life, so there you go.
Oh no, we finally found something not in common.
Oh yeah, but here's the thing about the hotel, right? My hotel was crap. Like the worst of the worst hotel. I waited way too late to book one. As I walk up to this hotel, there's a lady in front, like wiping her legs and crotch region with a paper towel, and there's just people hanging around. I'm not kidding. I was skeeved out of my mind. I walk up and everything's in construction, and there's like open walls and floors, no place to sit down. And I'm trying to get my room here at basically midnight. They come out and they're like, "Oh, Windows is updating." I'm like, "I don't know what that means. I just need a hotel room." They're like, "It's at 3%." I was like, "I don't have anywhere to go, man. Like, take my money. Let me in here." So I had to wait an hour in this crappy lobby with all these people around. It was just a really weird, not my scene at all, and very uncomfortable. The hotel itself did have water on the floor from the AC being broken. It was just a skeevy, crappy hotel that I wish I never had. Certainly wish I didn't have to share on multiple streams, either mine, Moral, or yours. So it was a bad hotel, and Moral likes memeing about it.
Somebody asked about a bloody towel.
Yeah, there was a bloody towel. There was a towel that I picked up that was so bloodstained that I didn't let that touch my body at all and just pushed it over to like the floor, and they took it out the next day.
Oh my god.
It was horrendous. I mean, you don't want to know more. But I felt safe because when I looked out my window, it felt like I was in a jail cell. There were bars on the window. It was that kind of neighborhood.
Yeah, there was a bloody towel. That's a clip if I've ever heard one.
Oh, Moreland. Couldn't have just taken my generosity and not shared any stories. No, never could do that.
Well, so the little time that I've really been digging into Blade, you know, kind of doing some due diligence for our now 2.5 hours together, has really shown a lot of light on Tomorrowland and going back and forth and the friendship that you guys have, and it's obvious that it's, you know, beyond just Twitch and being successful and all that kind of stuff. And you guys obviously care about BDO, or else you wouldn't be streaming it now after all they're just war stories. You just told a bunch of war stories tonight.
Just
you know,
about.
as far as internet or video games goes,
Sure.
that's you're as deep in the shit as anybody could be in this stuff. So this has been a phenomenal 2.5 hours. I have no other questions for you personally, you know, professionally or out there that I want to put publicly. I have asked everything, and I think we have doubled or tripled the itinerary that I gave you. If you have anything you either want to ask me, talk to chat about, or just say as a soapbox thing, you know, the mic is yours, if you will.
I appreciate that. I think yeah, we've touched a lot of bases, so I'm pretty satisfied.
Let's call it a night, man. Let's do this again sometime soon, though. We're gonna have some return guests, so let's do it in a couple of months and check in and see how things are going. And thank you so much for the time. I'm humbled that you came here. I want to say that publicly because it's true.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This has been a pleasure.
I hope you had fun.
I did.
Have a phenomenal night, and I'll see you in stream tomorrow.
All right. Have a good night. See you, chat. Take care, Tim.
See ya. We did it! Oh, it was so good! Craddock with the gifted. All right, let's go ahead and play it, but we're gonna keep it muted. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. BladeBoques, what a guest. That was incredible. That was absolutely incredible. I couldn't have. What a phenomenal guest. What a great story. What a great story. What am I supposed to do from here? That was incredible. I'm not doing this for the theatrics of streaming. That completely turned my vision of him inside out. It really did. I really had no idea he went through all that garbage. I had no idea. Beat Kill is next week. Drop that follow. So next week is Beat Kill, GM of... What's the name of that guild again? I forgot. Is it Snake? Is it El Snecko Guildo? GM of Snake. Friend of the stream. He has granted us 60 to 90 minutes. We'll try to keep it to that. BladeBoques was more than generous to give us all of this time. And then the week after that, we have Romix, better known as Sasha, the GM of... What's the name of that guild? Black Rose, I think it's called. So lots of drama to talk about with those guys. So we're trying to keep, you know, a fresh roster of people coming in here that have, you know, a large connection to BDO. So let's keep it going. I think Shaky Bay has also agreed. Purify, if you don't know him. I think I've got quite a few questions for my boy Purify. So I think we'll have him on the podcast too. So Thursday, Saturday, podcast nights. Tim Allen, 1337. Rojak, thank you for the Prime subscription. We're catching up on all this. Menace with the subscription. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to turn the sounds on once we catch up with all this stuff, guys. So just give me a little bit of time here. I don't want to spam you with a bunch of fart sounds because that is my follow sound. You did a really good job tonight, Tim. I felt real comfortable going over everything. Dude, somebody told me about a week and a half ago that I had a talent for making people feel comfortable about talking about things in the setup that I have. And so I felt that was the right time to reach out to you. We talked on Twitter about me being humbled by you coming on here. I truly am. And the fact that you brought up a stream and hosted, you know, the people that follow you to talk about this stuff that is probably a little worn out to them. Incredible. I just really a bro move. I owe you a debt of gratitude for sure. There we go. I was hoping to change some people's minds. I was hoping to change my own mind. That's why I did this. I wanted to change my own mind. I'm going, this guy has got to be, if he's actually coming back to BDO like this, he's got to have a story. There's got to be something behind this. It can't just be, it just can't be, you know, I don't care. I'm going to keep doing this because I want to stream. He's got to, if I cheated and people just roasted me over it constantly, I wouldn't get back on Twitch. I'd just be like, yeah, y'all got me. Y'all 100% got me. So I think it was honest and a good time, and I appreciate the compliment because I 100% would have accepted your criticisms as well. And if you do so, if you do have some, please let me know. Yeah, thank you, Rojak. Appreciate it. Thanks for the sub, too. BladeBoques, I'm officially going to call him a friend of the stream. Holy shit. Jolly good show, mate. Thank you so much. Holy crap, Nebron. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're gonna turn the alerts back on here real soon. I really appreciate that, man. I appreciate that a lot. Wow. Thanks for the follows. It's like the joystick thing, man. You have to make a video on that. Thank you so much for the monetary contribution. Trying to pay off some medical bills so we can expand our family a little bit. That's the reason I'm streaming, so I really appreciate those bits. That's incredible. Thank you so much. Please, please, please join my Discord. We have fun. We're toxic. I respond to everybody. I'm super active in my Discord. Please, exclamation point Discord. Get in there. Talk to me. DM me. Post up memes. I normally have a reel of memes over here on the right above Tim Allen 1337. If you've got great memes that you come across, please put them in my Discord. I go through about once a week and add them to the stream. There you go, exclamation point Discord. Go on and get there. I'm gonna turn off